Regular programming will not be seen at this time. Stay tuned next for Boston Red Sox baseball.
TV 38 Sports presents Boston Red Sox baseball. Brought to you in part by Bud Dry. Why ask why? Try Bud Dry for refreshment that's beyond question. By Citgo, home of high-quality gasolines with HGA 1000 super detergent. By your New England Toyota dealer. For Toyota value, it's the best deal going. By Diet Pepsi, the right one, baby. By your local participating McDonald's restaurant for good food and good value. And by True Value Hardware Stores. You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to opening day of the 1991 Major League Baseball season. From the Sky Dome in Toronto, the Red Sox take on the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Bob Montgomery. We are delighted to have you with us for the start of another baseball season here on the TV 38 Red Sox Network. The Red Sox begin their defense of their American League East title against the team most people think will give them the best challenge in 1991, the Toronto Blue Jays. You look at the spring records, and most people say you can throw those out now that spring training is done. The Red Sox 22-11, one of the best records in all of baseball. The Blue Jays just 9-19, but they've said that really doesn't matter. And what a great pitching matchup today. Roger Clemens and Dave Steve.
Sean, of all the opening day games scheduled around baseball today, and there'll be 7 others other than this one here in Toronto, this, I think, is the best pitching matchup with Clemens and Steve. Both these pitchers so very tough on right-hand hitters. Most of the hitters, the power hitters we think of in the game today, are batting from the right side, and both these pitchers just dominated right-hand batters all last year. The Toronto Blue Jays do have a spot that they're a little bit worried about, which may favor Roger Clemens. The fact that they've lost Fred McGriff with his departure to San Diego may make it a little bit easier for Roger to work against a right-handed lineup, although there are a lot of switch hitters in there that'll go to the opposite side, but they're more the slap line drive kind of hitters, not power kind of hitters. Dave Steve, on the other hand, will have to contend with Boggs and Greenwell, but both are very, very tough on right-hand batters.
And, of course, for most of the winter, we did not expect Roger Clemens to be able to make this start on opening day against the Toronto Blue Jays. Roger's 4th straight opening day start, but his appeal still has not been heard by Commissioner Dave Benson. Along the same lines, baseball umpires have settled their dispute with Major League Baseball's owners. We will have replacement umpires today. The regular umpires will report to work tomorrow. The Red Sox and Blue Jays to open the 91 season will have the starting lineups from Toronto after this.
Satin all around you, one rich coat, year to year, always seems brand new. Satin walls, satin dolls, change your point of view. Why see the world in black and white when you can have an ultra satin view?
New Ultra Satin, the art of fine paint, exclusively at True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do opposites attract? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why do women have all the answers? Why? Ask why?
Try, dry.
Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Because if true love's not the answer, true refreshment must be.
Show the spirit. Show the pride. Bruins pride. The Boston Bruins face off with the Hartford Whalers in Game 4 of the Adams Division semifinals. Tuesday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
Today's starting lineups are brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, where quality dealers deliver low prices every day. For the Red Sox this afternoon, Wade Boggs leads off at third base. Jody Reed, the second baseman. Mike Greenwell in left field. Jack Clark is the DH batting cleanup. Ellis Burks in center field. Tom Brunansky, the right fielder, batting sixth. Carlos Quintana at first base. Tony Pena is doing the catching. And batting ninth, the shortstop, Tim Nehring. It'll be Roger Clemens on the mound for the Red Sox. For the Toronto Blue Jays, Devon White leads off in center field. Roberto Alomar at second base. Kelly Gruber, the third baseman. The cleanup hitter is Joe Carter in right field. John Olerud at first base. Rance Mulliniks is the DH. The catcher is Greg Myers batting seventh. Manuel Lee is the shortstop batting eighth. And the left fielder Mookie Wilson bats ninth. For the Blue Jays, it'll be Dave Stieb on the mound. As we mentioned, Major League Baseball has settled its dispute with its umpires, but we will have replacement umpires today because the regular umpires could not get here on time. John Higgins will work the plays from Bristol, Connecticut. His 13 years of umpiring.
His right hand against Bandit. Right-handers last year hit just .205 against Dave Stieb, and he owes a lot of that to the fact with a very pure slider.
Defensively behind Dave Stieb this afternoon, Mookie Wilson in left field, Devon White in center, Joe Carter in right for the new-look Toronto Blue Jays. Kelly Gruber, the Gold Glover at third baseman. Manuel Lee, he used to be Manny. He says he would prefer to be called Manuel, so we will oblige. Roberto Alomar, the second baseman. John Olerud at first, and Greg Myers doing the catching for Dave Stieb.
This team, the best defensive team in all of baseball last year, and Dave Stieb helps himself along. He is a converted outfielder, and he is quite adept at handling that area around the mound. He makes very good throws. He's very quick off the mound, and obviously he'll help his defense last year, which made just 86 errors all year long, and that was one of the reasons that the Blue Jays stayed right in the thick of things all year with the Red Sox.
The Red Sox have not defeated Dave Stieb in the city of Toronto since 1983. That, of course, includes time at Exhibition Stadium and here at the Sky Dome. Boston's last win over Stieb in Toronto, May 26th of '83, when Stieb and the Blue Jays beat Bob Stanley and the Red Sox 7-2. Wade Boggs to lead off. Boggs, Reed, and Greenwell in the top of the first. Wade coming off for him a subpar year in 1990 when he hit .302 with 6 homers and 63 RBI. Sellout crowd on hand, and here's the first pitch of the 1991 season. A fastball high for ball one. A base hit. Wade Boggs takes the second pitch of the 91 season right up the middle. And the first base runner of the 91 season for the Red Sox is Wade Boggs.
About 230 hits to go now. He doesn't set goals for himself because he says that puts a limit on me. But he hopes to be around that 225 to 30 hit range this season to get his average back up to more of a normal state. I'd point out, I think, Sean, so many times we're going to see Jack Clark coming to the plate with this combination of Boggs, Reed, and Greenwell hitting in front of him in the very first inning.
Jody Reed hit .289 last year with 5 home runs and 51 driven in. Takes the slider for strike one. Jody, like so many of the Red Sox, had an outstanding spring. He hit .316 in the Grapefruit League with a homer and 9 RBI. Boggs did not steal the base last year. He's held on by Olerud. Strike, borderline pitch, and I would imagine we'll see a few inquisitive looks like the one Jody Reed just gave home plate umpire John Higgins.
Not any more we may get from the regular umpires, though.
I watched the 2 games over the weekend from Washington. and the replacement umpires, I thought, for the most part, did a good job. Off the end of the bat, still no balls and 2 strikes on Jody Reed.
Come on, Davey, finish him off.
Steve had a tough spring. He was 1-4 for the Blue Jays with a 4.66 earned run average. The Toronto staff as a whole really struggled. Some of that is attributable to the fact that their home park in Dunedin is a small ballpark where the wind really blows hard straight out. Blue Jays staff was not particularly sharp, and as a result, they were 9-19. 1-2 now on Reed.
Gaston said he wasn't too worried about it. One reason you can't look for too many breaking balls off Steve is because of the fastball and his ability to throw it up and in on you. He'll do that to keep you away from the lower part and the away part of the plate.
Keep you off of the slider.
5 Steve pitches, 3 of them are going to be breaking balls of some type. He'll also mix in a breaking ball and a straight change.
That's just inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Gaston, as you mentioned earlier, said he wasn't too worried about the 9-19 record. Well, maybe he wasn't too worried about it, but I'll tell you, that's not exactly the way you want to go into a championship season, having that many losses under your belt. It's nice to get that little winning flow going for you, at least the last week, maybe 10 days of the season.
Certainly the Red Sox experienced that throughout the spring, including yesterday when they came from behind to beat the Orioles in Washington. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out. Boggs at first. We're just underway this season.
Nothing else. The Blue Jays need some kind of a psychological uplift. They were beaten 10 out of 13 meetings last year between these 2 ball clubs, and when it came down to crunch time, that's when the Red Sox won the majority of those games. So they need some kind of an uplift from that standpoint.
Strikes out. Does Jody. On the slider from Dave Steve. First strikeout for Dave Steve. 1 out at the top of the first. No score.
I mentioned you like to think that as a hitter you could look for a lot of breaking balls off Steve, and you can look for a lot of them, but he has such a good one, and oftentimes you can almost tell you it's coming and you're not going to get it. That's more of a let-up off-speed pitch there, something
He took a bit off already.
than the good hard slider. You can see how far out front Jody was.
Now Mike Greenwell. He turned it on over the latter half of last season. Hit .297 for the year with 14 homers and 73 runs batted in. He'll do much better than that in every category if spring training is any indication. He hit .295 in the spring with 5 homers and 22 runs batted in to lead the team. Down to first. Olerud had it pop out of his glove. He'll slap the tag on Greenwell for the 2nd out. On the play, Boggs moved into scoring position. He's at second with 2 outs in the first. John Olerud, now the first baseman, primarily the DH last year when they had Fred McGriff.
A tough thing to ask a young player to do. Olerud probably would have had this inning over. What he would have done, he would have taken this grounder that's just about right on top of the bag. He would have stepped on the bag, which he's going to do, and he's going to throw to second, yelling tag him all at the same time. So they would have had the 3-4 double play, but the ball comes popping out, and the Red Sox wind up with a guy in scoring position and trouble coming to the play.
In the person of Jack Clark in his first regular season at bat in the Boston uniform. He hit .314 this spring, with 5 homers to tie Greenwell for the club lead. Jack drove in 13. As usual, he showed an excellent eye at the plate as he looked at strike 1. Clark walked 22 times this spring. That's 5 times more than any other player in Major League Baseball.
Jack Clark has probably seen what
He is going to see a steady diet of for about 162 games.
he is going to see. A lot of breaking balls. He's going to see them from various deliveries, and he's going to see various speeds on the breaking ball. Both of those first pitches to him, very hard breaking balls from Steve.
The 0-2 pitch, well outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, top of the first, no score.
Overheard Jack Clark talking to a Toronto writer prior to the game. He says, I've never been a good opening day player. He says, as a matter of fact, I don't even like opening days. I wish they'd start the season about 3 weeks into it and let me forget about it. He said, I always wanted to be one of those guys that had 2 home runs and 6 RBIs on opening day, but I never have been.
This is Jack's first appearance ever in the Sky Dome. That's a bullet just foul past third.
How do you figure? Here's a guy who took 2 breaking balls. You miss with a breaking ball you're trying to get him fish for, and you come right back with a ball that's right in the heart of the strike zone.
Perhaps the element of surprise was what
you don't
Steve was
surprise
looking
this
for.
guy with fastballs.
That's right.
You might get a lot of guys with looking at fastballs, but Jack Clark's not one of them, I don't think.
The outfield straight away and very deep for Clark, particularly Wilson in left field. See how deep the Blue Jay outfield is. Toronto thinks this is one area in which it has really improved its club in outfield defense with the addition of Devon White, a former Gold Glove winner in center. Fouled back. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
White had 9 errors last year while playing center field for the California Angels with 11 assists. Joe Carter 13 assists for San Diego. Carter made just 5 errors in the Padre outfield. Mookie Wilson spent most of his time in center last year for the Blue Jays. He committed 3 errors and he had 5 outfield assists. It's the errors that didn't go up on the board when George Bell was in left field that hurt quite often.
Check swing and a ball low and away. Clark has battled back from 0-2 to 3-2, and now it's Dave Steve's turn to glare in a bit at home plate umpire John Higgins.
Well, if you have to figure now, if you're the hitter, Clark's got first base open. Does Steve want to start the count over with me? You can
over with a new batter.
You can probably say, yeah, he's trying to get him out with a breaking ball. Can you look for a breaking ball, though, if you're the hitter in this point? Clark, probably not, because if you did, you probably would have hit 1 or 2 of the others up earlier in the count. This will be a pitcher's pitch all the way, I feel, right here.
The 3-2. Tomahawk down to third. Kelly Gruber. And that's all for the Red Sox in the first. They leave a runner in scoring position after half an inning. The Red Sox nothing. And the Toronto Blue Jays are coming up.
Eastern Clothing of Watertown carries the finest selection of Sanzabelt clothing in the Boston area. To see our complete line of Sanzabelt for dress or for golf, come to Eastern Clothing.
Let's say you're hungry, but you want to stay under 300 calories. You could try gumdrops, all 9 of them. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich. A grilled chicken breast fillet, ripe tomato, crisp lettuce, and your choice of barbecue sauce, honey mustard, or light mayo on a wheat bun. So when you're hungry but 300 calories is your limit, you could sink your teeth into watercress, several pounds. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich for a limited time.
Our free exhaust inspection covers up to 28 items. Many no bigger than this. Because at Meineke Discount Mufflers, nothing is unimportant.
If you're not recycling, you're throwing it all away.
We're back in Toronto, and we move to the bottom of the first inning, no score. And for the Red Sox, making his 4th straight opening day start, it's Roger Clemens.
Speaking of coming off good years,
Roger Clemens led all major
league pitchers last year with an earned average of 1.93 to go along with a record of 21-6. Very good. Is the
Toronto Blue Jays
last year. As a matter of fact, he's pretty well dominated them over his career. And it's a ballpark in which he's pitched well in the past. He pitched one of the toughest ball games I've ever seen a pitcher work last year on a Saturday afternoon in part of a 3 straight shutout win over the Toronto Blue Jays when the Red Sox took 3 out of 4 from Toronto at
a real
need the winning time for the Red Sox.
And defensively behind Roger this afternoon, Mike Greenwell in left, Ellis Burks in center, Tom Bernansky in right, Wade Boggs the third baseman, Tim Naring gets the opening day start at shortstop, Jody Reed at second, Carlos Quintana at first, and Tony Pena is back at the plate. The Sky Dome is sold out. The Blue Jays have already sold out 21 home games. They've sold 26,000 season tickets. Last year, they drew 3,885,000 fans at home. And there's some talk that they could reach 4 million in home attendance. But talking with Howard Starkman, the public relations director for the Blue Jays, he said they would really have to squeeze folks in throughout the year to reach 4 million, and that 3.9 million is probably a more realistic goal.
They've added about 700 more seats here too by changing some camera positions around and stuffing in some more seats.
Here's Devon White in his first regular season game for the Toronto Blue Jays. He was the Jays' leading hitter this spring. Strike one. He's hoping that his new beginning in Toronto will be just that, as his numbers declined in each of his last 4 years in California. Hit .263 for the Angels in 1987, and it's been downhill ever since, all the way down to last year when he hit .217 and actually spent 3 weeks at AAA Edmonton in July.
The only number that didn't collide with the strikeouts, and that's what they're going to have to be a little concerned about. Cito Gaston is having this man operate as a leadoff batter.
The 0-2 pitch. Clemens tried to start the season with a 3-pitch strikeout, and he just missed with a fastball.
Devon White, one of 4 switch hitters that are in the Blue Jay lineup this afternoon. A couple of other left-handers in there with it.
Strike 3. White's gone on 4 pitches. And Roger Clemens begins the 91 season just as you would expect, with a strikeout.
His last spring training outing was just short of marvelous. He worked 5 innings, struck out 6, gave up just 1 hit to Pittsburgh, and there's the split-fingered fastball doing the honors for the strikeout, the first of the 91 season.
Now Roberto Alomar also making his Toronto debut this afternoon. Fastball for a strike. Alomar, of course, part of the big trade in the offseason between the Blue Jays and the San Diego Padres. He came over along with Joe Carter. Tony Fernandez and Fred McGriff went to San Diego. Berto a little late trying to catch up to that Clemens fastball. 0-2.
His first 2 pitches may be as hard as I've seen Clemens throw in a long, long time.
Pulled to Jody Reed. 2 quick outs in the Toronto first. No score in the ball game. Toronto made the changes. They think they've improved their team, but more than anything, it was a team that needed a change in chemistry, although Cito Gaston says he thinks chemistry is overrated. Certainly, the Blue Jays had that same nucleus with Bell and Fernandez and McGriff for a number of years and really didn't accomplish as much as they were expected to. Now, this is a man being counted upon to lead the team. Kelly Gruber, an all-star last year for the 2nd time. What a great 1990 he had. .274 average. 31 homers and 118 runs driven in. That was 2nd in the league behind Cecil Fielder. He runs well. This will be a tough play. Boggs has no play. An infield hit for Kelly Gruber.
Big high chopper. Gruber not having any desire to get behind in the count to Clemens. Let's get on top that first high fastball and big high bounder. Boggs will squeeze it into the chest and just hold on to it. Not much of a chance.
You hit a run on the head. Runs well.
Runs so well, as a matter of fact. He could, I would think he'd be considered a stolen base threat now. Just 14 stolen bases last year, but ball club that I think will try to do a lot of things in the running department in the 91 season.
Gruber at first with 2 outs. In the bottom of the first, no score, Joe Carter. Another of the Blue Jays making his Toronto debut this afternoon. He sends that one into the Sky Dome seats along first base.
He's got on his Johnny Unitas shoes too, doesn't he?
A growing trend, perhaps.
Boggs was lacing
up a pair of them in front of his locker today, and I said, "You're not."
And he just smiled and kept on lacing them, but he doesn't have them on.
Well, he says that the turf sometimes bothers his knees and ankles. Line to right. point, sinking fast. Brunansky has to back up on it and just did leap enough to prevent it from going over his head. Gruber rounded third and a stop there, and the Blue Jays with back-to-back base hits from Gruber and Carter are threatening with 2 outs in the first.
Nothing new about Carter getting a base hit against Red Sox pitching. It is new when he keeps it in the ballpark, though. He'll go to the opposite field with a Clemens fastball. And Brunansky, with his height, is helped here. He reaches as high as he can go to prevent that ball from bouncing over his head and prevents a Toronto run as Gruber winds up at third.
And that brings up John Olerud. He looks at strike one. Olerud, the youngest member of the Toronto Blue Jays. He's 22 years old. And he's in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. John started 101 games for the Jays last year, but 86 of those were as a designated hitter. He only started 15 times at first base. He had 265 last year with 14 home runs, and he drove in 48. A ball and 2 strikes. Gruber, the runner at third. And Carter at first with 2 outs in the bottom of the first, no score. Inside, 2-2.
Pretty tough to ask a 21-year-old rookie to step into a designated hitting role. Blue Jays did do that last year with Olerud, of course, and he handled it pretty well, I thought. A couple of series he played against the Red Sox. The Red Sox were a bit fortunate, and they caught this young man somewhat flat at the plate. He didn't swing well against them at all those last 2 series of the year.
And he strikes out. 2 strikeouts in the inning. The Blue Jays strand 2, and after 1 in Toronto, there is no score.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
Sox player hits a home run during a TV 38 televised game. You can win 2 tickets to a Red Sox home game in a case of 2-liter bottles of Pepsi. To winners, send your postcards to TV 38 Pepsi Home Run Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 500, Boston, Massachusetts, 02135. The start before the last one that Clemens had in spring training, the split-fingered fastball, which he used for the strikeout there, was clocked at 87 and 88 miles per hour. Now, most guys who use the split-fingered fastball are looking for ground balls, not strikeouts. Not the case with Clemens, of course.
Most of them throw it about 10 miles an hour softer.
To act much more like a changeup, and actually that is a changeup for Clemens because he's usually around 92 or 93 with his Hummer.
Ellis Burks hit .296 last year with 21 homers, and he drove in 89. He's behind the count here, 0-2. Burks had a great spring. .347 was his average in the coup. Clark looked like he swung at ball 4 on the 3-2 pitch. Do you think because we do have replacement umpires here today, they might be reluctant with 2 strikes on them to watch a close pitch go by?
I think it's more to do with opening day, and you're a bit anxious. You're trying to get that first base hit, and always home run hitters, as you start a season, they're looking for that first home run. I think it's just a little bit of anxiety more so than they're worried about the umpires.
1-1 pitch. Slapped right at Alomar. 2 outs. We're in the second. There is no score here at the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Matter of fact, if you ask most players, they probably don't even know who umpired. I mean, you'll find a battery that'll know who the plate umpire is, but I think for the most part, overall, who's working the game today as an umpire? Well, they don't know.
Well, that was very much questioned right up until about an hour before game time when you spoke with different people on both sides on the field before the game. Some people said they had heard the regular umpires would be here in time for the game. Others said definitely not. It would be the replacements. And indeed, it is replacement umpires working the game today. Carlos Quintana sent it to right. Joe Carter puts it away to end the inning. 1-2-3 go the Red Sox in the second after an inning and a half. No score.
Times have changed. So have cars. Fortunately, Citgo has developed this new gasoline with HTA 1000 super detergent. It actually keeps today's cars running like new. So to take care of your car, fill it up with Citgo.
For a limited time, you can receive $10 worth of coupons on your next 3 fill-ups with an approved Citgo Plus credit card application. Take one and get 10 at Citgo.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do opposites attract? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why do women have all the answers? Why? Ask why?
Dry.
Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Because if true love's not the answer, true refreshment must be.
Before you know it, the Red Sox will be swinging into action, so don't miss out. Get your tickets now and be a part of all the thrills and excitement when the 91 season gets underway. For information, call 267-8661 or call the direct charge line 267-1700. And for group sales, call 262-1915. Tickets can also be purchased at the Red Sox ticket office at 4 Yawkey Way or at the Boston Red Sox clubhouse shop at the Burlington Mall. So get your tickets now and be a part of Fenway Fun in 91. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38. It's intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the expressed written consent of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38 is prohibited. Joe Morgan, beginning his 3rd full season at the helm of the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox 217 and 184 under Morgan. And there's Cito Gaston, 163 and 125 are the Toronto Blue Jays. He begins his 2nd full season. That's their record under Gaston in his year and a half, almost 2 full years. He took over in May for Jimmy Williams.
And 3 division titles between those 2 managers, Morgan, the last 2 out of 3 years. I think it's a shame. The scheduler could have done a little better job, in my estimation, of having these 2 ball clubs square off so early in the season.
Brance Mullenix up there with a count of 1-1.
Of course, I know the schedule is made up probably 2, sometimes even 3 years in advance, maybe more. But it seems to me they could have done some work on it to adjust it this situation. Blue Jays and the Red Sox by far the 2 best teams in the American League East, and you kind of think that maybe there's an outside chance for Baltimore, but then they've had to disable their ace, Ben McDonald, with some arm problems. So these 2 teams look like the 2 teams to go at each other in the American League East. Unfortunately, the Toronto Blue Jays are the swing team this year. They do not play in division after the middle of September, actually just before the middle of September.
They're finished with the American League East on September 8th. They are finished with the Red Sox on August 12th. That will be the last meeting between these 2 teams this year.
That late season highlight stuff like we had last year.
That was fun.
Yes, sir.
That's the way it should be. 2-2 pitch in the hole, base hit. So the Jays have come out swinging against Roger Clemens. A leadoff single in the second for Rance Mullenix, and that is Toronto's 3rd hit.
So far, the Blue Jay batters that have faced Clemens and should be doing something against Boston have done it. Gruber, Carter, always a thorn in the Red Sox side. And Rance Mullenix seemingly has hit 400 in his career against the Red Sox. He's actually hit 293 against them. 9 homers and 61 RBIs. So many of his hits, though, have come late innings against them over the years as a pinch hitter and have often played in the decision or the final decision in the outcome of the game.
Greg Myers, the batter, takes a breaking ball a bit high for ball 1. He was involved in what was basically a platoon behind the plate last year for the Blue Jays with Pat Borders. Though it is expected this year that Borders will see some time more often against right-handed pitchers, but on opening day against somebody like Roger Clemens, that was not an ideal day to put the right-handed swinging Borders in there. No score as Toronto bats in the bottom of the second. Mullenix was running with the pitch, and Myers pulled it foul. Myers appeared in 87 games last year. He started 79. So it was just about half and half last year between Myers and Borders. Very high in shallow left. Greenwell the catch for the first out of the inning.
Sean, it's a good thing we have the dome here in Toronto today. We may, now just may, we don't know what's going on outside now, but possibly we would not be playing now with there not a roof here.
It was raining off and on this morning. We have no way of knowing what it is doing outside at the moment, but it was raining off and on this morning after a beautiful day here yesterday. If it was opening day yesterday, the roof would have been open just as it was in Boston, a warm and sunny day. It was in the mid-80s or in the mid-20s, depending on which temperature reading you care to go by here in Toronto yesterday. Open or closed, this is a fabulous place.
Isn't it indeed?
Now Manuel Lee. He was the Blue Jays second baseman last year. His natural position is a shortstop, and he has moved to shortstop with the trade of Tony Fernandez and the arrival of one of the best second basemen in all of baseball, Roberto Alomar. But Manny Lee is one of the pardon me. As soon as I said that, I knew I was wrong. My apologies to Manuel. Manuel said that at home he has always been called Manuel in San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican Republic, but when he signed with the Mets, people started calling him Manny, and he didn't speak English well enough to correct them. Now he has decided that he would prefer to be called Manuel, and Blue Jays have gone along with that. Their public address announcements on their radio and television. That could be a tough play for Greenwell. Toward the line. It's a fair ball and up into the seats. Slicing fly ball right down the line. It was fair by just a couple of feet. Mullenix to third on the ground rule double. Manuel Lee with the first extra base hit of this ball game.
Red Sox catch a break here in that the ball bounces into the seats. They do not catch a break because the ball is right at that corner where it juts out. Greenwell doesn't have time to get himself circled so that he can run up along that line and make the play. Mullenix taking his lead. He knows that it's going to be a difficult catch for Greenwell if he can handle it. Once he sees the ball bouncing and up in the stands, he can just trot on over to third with the ground rule double of Manuel Lee.
So runners at second and third with one out. And here is Mookie Wilson. As much of last year was the leadoff hitter for Toronto, now batting ninth. 4 hits already for the Blue Jays. In an inning and a third for Roger Clemens. That's ball 1 high. Down the line again. Again a long run for Greenwell. He makes the catch. Mullenix coming on to score, and the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead.
Mookie Wilson, an instant favorite when he came over to the Blue Jays from the New York Mets. And he's responsible for the first 1991 run for the Blue Jays.
Now the top of the order, and Devon White up for the second time in as many innings. He struck out starting the Toronto first. He swings through that one. Foul tipped it into the mid of Pena for strike one. Blue Jays were working with White in spring training on making more regular contact, and it seemed to have worked. He hit .408 to lead the Blue Jays this spring. Tim Naring handles his first chance easily. That's all for Toronto in the second. The Blue Jays get a run on 2 hits, and after an inning and a half, they lead Roger Clemens and the Red Sox 1-0.
There's a level of service with which you're already quite familiar. Only now you can enjoy it at 35,000 feet. Delta's person-to-person service to over 270 cities worldwide. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows.
Consider this. For only $89.99, the 1991 four-door Subaru Loyale sedan
with 5-speed transmission, automatic slightly more, air conditioning,
AM/FM stereo, power windows, and power door locks, power steering, dual power mirrors, and driver's side lumbar support. All for $89.99. Yes, you heard it right. $89.99. Car for car, dollar for dollar, America's best buy. See your New England Subaru dealer now.
This is your brain on other stations. This is your brain on TV 38. Now, aren't you glad you're here and not there?
Now it's time for Around the Horn, brought to you by your New England Toyota dealer for Toyota Value. It's the best deal going. And Around the Horn on opening day, umpires reached a tentative agreement on a new contract with Major League Baseball owners. And we're going to try to work as many games today if the umpires could arrive on time. We have replacement umpires here. And Ricky Henderson of the Oakland Athletics needs 2 stolen bases to tie Lou Brock's all-time stolen base record. Minnesota at Oakland tomorrow in the season opener for Oakland.
Sean, I have an idea or feeling that that may be the last long record we see broken in this game. And I say by long record, I mean record other than a seasonal record. Players don't play long enough anymore to establish the kind of records that Henderson is going through now. As a matter of fact, he was quoted in an article in Baseball Digest. He says he's not going to stop at just breaking it. He wants to get the number up to around 1,400 or 1,500 stolen bases. He's only 32 years old. He feels he could play another 10 years easily. So
well, he's at 936 now.
2 to tie
and
3 to make it 939 to break the record of Lou Brock.
We move to the top of the third. The Red Sox trail 1-0. They've been out hit 4-1. Tony Pena, the batter. In his first year with the Red Sox last season, Pena hit .263. With 7 home runs, and he drove in 56. He'll be followed by Tim Naring and Wade Boggs against Dave Stieb, who has retired 6 in a row since giving up the leadoff single to start the game to Boggs. Stieb last year became the first Blue Jay pitcher ever to win 18 games in a season. Stieb had won 17 games 3 times previously. Well hit past the dive of Gruber into the left field corner. Fielded by Wilson. Pena on his way to second. He'll get there standing with a double.
This was definitely a strong suit of the Red Sox last year, the 2-base hit. Of course, Jody Reed in a tie with George Brett
for the outright lead in
the American League in doubles. The Red Sox are pretty well known as a doubling ball club, and that's just got standard routine give them double all the way written on it. Hey, when you take into consideration Pena played most of the year with a very sore thumb, his .263 average last year was a pretty good one.
He's been bothered a bit lately by a sore right forearm. Injury suffered while swinging a weighted bat in the on-deck circle in spring training about 10 days ago. Every now and then you'll see him flexing that right arm. Tim Naring squared to bunt and took a ball inside. It was bobbled by Myers. No chance for Pena to move up. Tony's at second with nobody out in the third. 1-0 Toronto. Naring earned the Red Sox starting shortstop job with a fine spring. He hit .322. And for the most part was solid in the field. Blue Jays creeping in at the corners. Breaking ball way outside. 2-0.
Joe Morgan perhaps feeling that it will be a low-scoring ball game with a combination of Clemens and Steve in there with the Red Sox trailing 1-0. Give himself an opportunity to move the runner over third, less than 2 outs, couple of chances to drive it in without the benefit of a hit maybe.
Naring popped the bunt foul over the Red Sox dugout along the first base line. 2 balls and 1 strike. A good bunt. Steve makes the play himself. It's a sacrifice for Naring. Play goes 1 unassisted. And Pena is now at third with 1 out. He's the tying run at third base here in the 3rd inning.
Nice job by the 9th spot hitter. I don't know how many times Naring is going to be asked to do this, but he will not perform it any better than he did this particular one. Not an easy job to bunt guys along on AstroTurf. Much easier, of course, on the natural surface. It's a play that's appreciated a great deal by the guys that sit along that dugout
bench. Doesn't look like much of the
people in the seats, but down on that field, it's really appreciated.
Now Boggs, who got his season off on the right foot with a solid single through the middle as the first hitter of the ball game. The infield is in for Toronto.
You know, I would almost bet if you'd asked me before Naring, if he gets the job done, where the infield would have been playing, I would not have guessed in, because you increase Boggs' hitting area by moving the infield in so much. Gaston also figuring this is going to be a very low-scoring game.
The two managers managing this inning like it's the 160th game of the year.
There's another way to look at
this too. You may be saying to Steve, well, I'm going to work around Boggs and see if I'm getting the swing at a bad ball, get the right-hander on right-hander and see if we play for the double play. But Boggs didn't swing at too many bad pitches, and you're really opening yourself up for making a mistake to a Boggs kind of hitter by having the infield in, and then if he does get a mistake to hit, you've increased his chances of putting it in play and driving a run in.
3-0 on Wade. And Steve basically pitched around him.
You know what's funny? That's not called, what's unusual, I should say, that's not called an intentional base on balls. And Steve didn't have one all last year. Maybe he is so good with his control, they figure if that situation arises, they just have him make that kind of move.
So now runners at first and third with 1 out. In the top of the 3rd. Toronto leads 1-0. Jody Reed struck out swinging his first time up. The infield now back at double play depth. The outfield more or less straight away with the exception of Wilson in left, who plays the line. 5 straight balls thrown by Steve.
I don't know how you get hitters to change their
thinking mode at the plate.
The Red Sox in these situations need to think more along the fly ball area. Think more up the middle as a hitter to stay out of those ground ball double plays. 174 of them the Red Sox bounced into last year, which was a record in the American League. And of course, that always helps them with their left on base total when it comes down to the end of the year. Doesn't help them in the right way
either, I might add.
6 straight balls thrown by Steve. 2-0 on Jody, who did successfully squeeze 4 times last year. That's 3-0. With Mike Greenwell on deck waiting to face Steve. Dick Berardino in his first regular season game as the Red Sox third base coach. He handled those chores during the spring very nicely. And again this year, Al Bumbry is the Red Sox first base coach. There's the Baltimore Oriole Hall of Famer. And of course, the Red Sox newest member of the coaching staff, bullpen coach John McLaren, was the third base coach for the Toronto Blue Jays last year. Reed taking all the way on 3-0, and it's 3 balls and a strike. Tony Pena started this inning with a double. He's now at third with 1 out, and Boggs is at first. We're in the top of the third. Toronto leads 1-0. 4 hits for the Blue Jays and 2 for the Red Sox. Boggs running with the pitch. Reed fouled it off.
Kind of movement on that Steve fastball so far in this ball game. We'll have a few hitters bouncing that ball off their foot foul. Every fastball that Steve has thrown the Reed in this sequence has been a hard running fastball. Been outdoors in old exhibition stadium on a normal opening day when it's about 35 or 36 degrees. Reed may not have gotten up from that for quite some time.
So now the count is full. Does the old adage hold true? If he was running on 3-1, he might be running on 3-2.
Sure.
I expect to see Joe Morgan do a lot more of that last year.
Just because of that number I gave you a moment ago. 174 grounded into double plays. He's got to stop some of that some way, and that's one way you can do it.
Boggs does indeed run. It's ball 4, high and tight. Back-to-back walks thrown by Steve. The first 2 walks thrown by either pitcher. That loads the bases.
Jody spent a lot of time on the ground in this particular at bat for different reasons. One, the foul ball off his foot, and now Steve just almost throws that ball underhand. You could see his wrist underneath the fastball, which had it run up and in, almost into the flap of Jody Reed. He's out of the way.
Ball 4 and a beauty.
Now Mike Greenwell with the bases loaded and 1 out. 1-0 Toronto. Greenwell struggled in this role last year. He had .238 with the bases loaded. He took ball 1 low and inside. Mike had a team high 23 plate appearances with the bases loaded for the Red Sox last year and was 5 for 21.
You know why he struggled a lot in that role? Because he got himself out a lot in those situations. So very anxious, he'd often swing at the first pitch.
Pulls that foul past first. 1 ball and 1 strike.
One thing he said this spring he really wanted to concentrate on. He felt that with the makeup of the Red Sox lineup now, he was going to have more opportunities to bat with runners on base, especially if Boggs or Reed has any kind of the near year that they should be having. And he said he really wanted to oftentimes just hit with a strike on it. He's talked to himself constantly all spring and all winter long about that very thing. He's so anxious that oftentimes he would only see maybe 2 pitches batting in this situation. It's a very hard thing to get out of, being too anxious as a hitter. You always feel like you don't want to get in the hole, but then again, you don't give the pitcher the credit. He can't get you out on 1 pitch if you don't swing.
slashing swing at the breaking ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
If every left-hand hitter was pitched with this particular pitch right here, they'd all hit nothing. Left-hand batters cannot hit this pitch from a right-hand pitcher. That slider working down and in just below knee level. They can't reach it. They can't. There's nothing they can do with their swing to get to it.
Line drive and a base hit into right field. Pena scores. Boggs will be held at third. The game is tied at 1, and the bases remain loaded with 1 out. Ball was hit so sharply right at Carter that Boggs had to be held at third. Pena scored, and Mike Greenwell has the Red Sox first RBI of the season.
Notice the difference in the location. Now it's the same pitch, but rather than being down and in, it's down and in the middle of the plate. Boy, does Greenwell just wear it out to right field so hard. As you mentioned, Sean, only one runner can move. Just 90-foot advancement by the Red Sox runners. Tie game, though.
Greenwell came into this ball game a .380 lifetime hitter against Dave Steven. He's improved upon that with his 1 for 2. Jack Clark bounced to third his first time up. Base is still loaded with 1 out. Strike 1 with the breaking ball from Steve.
Can a hitter set up pitchers? I don't know if Clark can do that. That's the 3rd time now he has seen that pitch and really has bailed out early. Steve doesn't want to throw that breaking ball there. It's just winding up there, and so far has gotten away with it. Oop, he's still giving a lot of ground. I don't know if they throw, in fact, more breaking balls in the American League than do in the National League. Clark spent a little time in the American League with the Yankees previously, and I'm sure he saw a lot of breaking balls then. That's about all he's seen from Steve so far today.
Jack pulled it foul. Let's pause for station identification along the TV 38 Red Sox network.
This is TV 38, WSBK TV, Boston.
With Bob Montgomery, Sean McDonough, our producer director is John Wilson. We're at the Sky Dome in Toronto for opening day 1991. And the Red Sox and Blue Jays are tied at 1. Toronto still out hitting the Red Sox 4-3. A deep drive to left. That is way out of here. Into the second deck in left field. A grand slam for Jack Clark.
I don't know how you figured. He gets the fastball again right in the heart of the strike zone, as if to say, here, hit it, Jack. Boy, did he ever hit it. Maybe this will be one of those opening days that will have the 6 RBIs. He's got half the home runs he was looking for. Boy, oh boy.
His first home run as a member of the Red Sox is a grand slam, a tremendous line shot that was out of the ballpark in no time. And the Red Sox have a 5-1 lead. And what a great way to start our TV 38 Pepsi home run sweepstakes. Pat Mulrennan of East Sandwich, Massachusetts, is the winner in the TV 38 Pepsi home run sweepstakes.
What we're going to give them? We're going to give them something extra. They can't get just the 2 cases of leader.
Well, you're the commissioner of the Pepsi home run sweepstakes.
We'll work on that in between innings here, but that's big time pride. Might give him the truck.
And now, with an off-speed pitch, Steve hit Burks. Ellis looking out at Steve and now saying something. I'm not sure if Steve wanted to hit somebody right after giving up the home run. He would have hit him with an off-speed pitch. But it has been a rough inning, and here comes Galen Cisco, the pitching coach. Steve still staring over at Ellis Burks. And a double, a couple of walks, a single, and the grand slam, now a hit batsman. Tom Bernansky will come up next to be the 8th batter of the inning, and there is still just 1 out.
Check out where this fastball is here to Jack Clark. I mean, that is right. That's like a batting practice area you want to throw it into. And Steve is trying to get out of this bases loaded situation. If you remember the first time up, he had in 3 breaking balls and a fastball that Clark fouled off. Boy, look at that contact and extension supreme there. All of a sudden, he's got him a ball and 2 strikes, and it's right in the heart of the strike zone once again. Ouch.
Into the second deck and left, and it was out of here in a hurry. 5-1 Red Sox. They've scored 5 times here in the third. They have Burks at first, still just 1 out. Tom Brunansky, the 8th hitter of the inning. Burks draws a throw. Close play. Now Ellis is out. Burks picked off by Steve.
I hate to see this for a couple reasons. One, Ellis Burks the last couple of years has been timid about stealing bases for fear of this very thing here, getting picked off. And he is out there. The tag applied to the wrist just before the hand gets the bag. I hope that won't slow Ellis's.
There's a pop-up from Brunansky. It'll be Alomar in shallow right, ending the inning. The Red Sox get 5 runs, highlighted by the grand slam from Jack Clark. And after 2.5 innings in Toronto, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do opposites attract? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why do women have all the answers? Why? Ask why?
Try the dry.
Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Because if true love's not the answer, true refreshment must be.
Hi, I'm Barry Steinberg, owner of Direct Tire Sales in Watertown. Our experience and facilities can handle any brake or alignment problem, and I guarantee it. At Direct Tire, we've got 7 free loaner cars, so you're never inconvenienced. We're known for our honest advice and competitive price. Direct Tire also has a Hunter Brake Analyzer. We'll analyze your brake system for free in only 90 seconds. Come into Direct Tire, Galen Street, Watertown. At Direct Tire Sales, we'll fix it so it breaks.
The Boston Red Sox and Kinner bring you starting lineup figuring day. Be at Fenway Park on Tuesday, April 16th, when the first 15,000 fans, age 15 and under, receive a Red Sox starting lineup figurine, compliments of Kinner. Order your tickets today. Phone the Red Sox ticket office at 617-267-1700. Not much doubt about Steve being a bit upset with himself after getting that pitch right in the heart of the strike zone to Jack Clark. Got him out of a tough situation, though. It cleaned the bases up as Clark hammered the fastball for a grand slam. There you are, Roger. Hold him right there.
Clemens working with a 5-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the third. Batters 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Jays, Alomar, Gruber, and Carter. Clemens has struggled through the first 2 innings. He's allowed 2 hits in each of the first 2. He is the first out of the third on 1 pitch. Alomar now 0 for 2. He's twice grounded out to second.
Oh, it's kind of strange, too, in that inning, Sean. Joe Morgan really playing for the 1 run, and often when you play for the 1 run, that's all you get is 1 run. Instead, he worked around Boggs, and they walked Jody unintentionally and intentionally, and wound up with a busting inning out of it rather than just the 1.
Kelly Gruber swings to the first pitch, and he popped it fouled and out of play, first base side. Gruber had an infield hit back in the first, a chopper down to third. Stayed in the air long enough to allow Kelly to beat it out. We talked earlier about Ellis Burks and how Joe Morgan feels it's possible that this might be the year he has that monster year that some people have been predicting for him. Kelly Gruber had that kind of year last year. And he sends it to Burks in center. 2 outs.
Joe Carter addition to this lineup may well help Kelly Gruber. a bit too. A little hard to say. You always talk about hitters having somebody behind them to protect them, and I always felt that Joe Carter could protect just about any hitter, maybe 2 or 3 hitters. But a lot of times that's an overused statement about protecting hitters in front of you. If hitters are selective with pitchers and pitches, what difference does it make what kind of protection you get from it? If you don't swing at bad balls, you're not in trouble anyway.
1 strike on Carter. He singled to right back in the first. 5-1 Red Sox with 1 out and the bases empty in the home half of the 3rd. Burks drifting back to the edge of the warning track to make the catch. The Blue Jays go in order for the first time in the game in the 3rd, and after 3, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
This is the deadline. This is the goal. This is the plan. Through April 10th, your New England Ford dealer will do whatever it takes to offer you his best price on a new Ford Escort. Plus, you can save over $1,700 in finance charges with 3.9% financing for 48 months on the totally redesigned 1991 Ford Escort. 3.9% for 48 months could also lower your monthly payment. So remember the goal, remember the plan, but most of all, remember the deadline.
Come in, Condor. 1, 2, testing.
The green monkey walks alone in the sky.
That's your signal. Sir, 2 caffeine-free Diet Pepsis. Sorry, we've just run out. Order something else. But I don't want anything else. Just follow orders.
Look, I want great taste, but I don't want caffeine. Sir. I want a caffeine-free Diet Pepsi. Listen. No, you listen. They do not all taste the same. I want caffeine-free. Amateurs.
You got the right one, baby.
The Boston Red Sox and Kenner have the starting lineup that you've been waiting for. Come and see the Red Sox battle the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday, April the 16th at 1:05. And the first 15,000 fans aged 15 and under will receive a Red Sox figurine, compliments of Kenner's starting lineup. To purchase tickets with your Visa or MasterCard, phone 267-1700. Stop by the Red Sox ticket office or the Red Sox clubhouse shop in the Burlington Mall. So be a part of the Fenway Fun in '91. Order your tickets today.
Fans be at Fenway Park on Wednesday and Thursday, April 17th and 18th, when the Red Sox challenge the Kansas City Royals. Each day, be among the first 15,000 fans aged 15 and younger, and you will receive a Donruss Baseball card book, compliments of Leaf Incorporated. Order your tickets today. Phone the Red Sox ticket office at 617-267-1700.
Well, the commissioner of the TV 38 Pepsi Home Run Sweepstakes, Bob Montgomery, has handed down a ruling in a bit more hasty fashion than Dr. Bobby Brown ruled on the Roger Clemens matter, and Monty has decided that Pat Mulrennan will receive 4 cases.
Case of base.
Of 2-liter bottles of Pepsi for Jack Clark's grand slam last inning. Carlos Quintana has it caught on the second try by Manuel Lee. Lee knocked the line drive straight up in the air and then caught it as it fell down into his glove. 1 pitch and 1 out in the top of the 4th.
2 at-bats now for Carlos, and he has hit rockets both times to right field his first time up, and now this one looks like he's going to get away with something, but Manuel Lee has it pop out of his glove and come straight back down into it. That ball there headed for extra bases.
Tony Pena started the 5-run 3rd with his double into the left field corner. He scored the first of the 5 runs last inning. Now, Mr. Commissioner, will it be 4 cases for every grand slam this year?
Absolutely. I like that. I think they should get something a little extra special for the grand slam. Before this day's over, I may even up that a bit. Opening day grand slam on top of that. If it holds out to be the winning margin in this ball game, I mean, that's worth a little extra, don't you think?
So you're saying Pat
Stand
may
by,
even get
Pat.
an added bonus?
Stand by.
Wow.
John Osborne. John, I hope you're listening. Get those.
The folks at Pepsi, yes, but we hope that they
We'll give away the plant in a minute.
Steve ahead of Pena 0-2. Tim Naring is on deck. Steve has allowed 5 runs all earned on 4 hits through 3 1/3 innings. He's walked 2 and hit a batter. He has 1 strikeout to his credit. And he's still ahead of Tony. No balls and 2 strikes.
Speaking on rulings of Commissioners League, presidents still have a decision to come up with concerning Jack Clark. You remember we read about this over the wintertime. Jack Clark was suspended for 1 game by National League President Bill White for a disturbance at the end of the season. However, I understand now that case is going to be heard when the Red Sox first visit New York sometime in June, I believe it is. And I don't think they've determined yet whether the suspension can be transferred from one league to the next. So I'm wondering if Clark has to go back to the National League to serve that suspension for 1 day if he goes back to the National League.
It's a good question.
Maybe it's just a dead issue. I don't know.
Well, by the time they get around to ruling on these things, the player
anyway.
will probably be retired. Pena hanging tough at 0-2. Speaking of New York, the Yankees have opened their season this afternoon at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. After 4 innings, New York leads that game 4-2. Mike Blowers has homered for the Yankees. What an appealing opening day starting pitching battle in that one. Tim Leary earned the start for the Yankees. He was 9-19 last year. And Frank Tanana is the opening day starter for Detroit. They may be battling for the cellar before the year is through. Maybe long before the year is through. That battle could be raging. Cleveland at Kansas City. The Indians lead 1-0 after 1. Greg Swindell and Brett Saberhagen, the starters there. Chicago leads Baltimore 3-1 after 2 in Baltimore. Jack McDowell and Jeff Ballard, the starters. Ballard was 2-11 for the Orioles last year. And tonight, Milwaukee is at Texas. Mark Knudsen against Nolan Ryan. And the 0-2 to Pena. Well hit in right center. Devon White, just in front of the warning track, made the catch. 2 outs in the 4th. The Red Sox lead 5-1. In the National League, only one afternoon game on opening day. Houston leads Cincinnati 1-0 after 3 at Riverfront Stadium. Mike Scott and Tom Browning, the starters. Tonight in the National League, Montreal at Pittsburgh with Dennis Martinez against Cy Young Award winner Doug Drabeck. And Philadelphia is at New York. Terry Mulholland for the Phillies, Dwight Gooden for the Mets. Here's Tim Naring, who sacrificed his first time up. A called strike 1.
Questions I had for Joe Morgan today in his office was, how long of a look does Tim Naring get as his shortstop? He said a long one. No need for him to look back over his shoulder after 7, 8, 9, 10 games. He said he will get a long, long look at shortstop. So I would think that that has been said to Tim Naring, and there's no reason for this young man to press in any way. Just go play, have some fun. I think that would have to be one of the most difficult situations for any player, veteran or young player, to go into the field each day and maybe looking over your shoulder and say, well, if I miss one today, am I in there tomorrow? That has to be a tough situation to deal with.
Devon White again on the run. He drifts back to the edge of the warning track. That ball carried well. And the Red Sox go in order in the 4th. After 3.5 in Toronto, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
Baseball isn't always easy or painless or pretty. But with 2 boxes of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes or Kellogg's Raisin Bran, baseball's free. Just clip the vouchers from the box, redeem them for a ticket, and you're in the game. Choose from any of these exciting dates. See package for more details. So don't drop the ball. Catch a free game. But hurry, this offer's going. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and Kellogg's Raisin Bran, your ticket to the game.
The Mona Lisa has no eyebrows. Venus de Milo lacks arms. Chickens have no lips. Why ask why? Try Bud Dry. It's cold filtered for smooth draft taste and dry brewed for no aftertaste. So when it comes to refreshment, nothing's missing.
Players.
My greater concern is that people like Roger, as in the past Bird, Ray Bork, they get to a point where they're under the conditions of an existing contract and say, no, I want more now. When your time comes to negotiate, get all you can, like Roger just did. I'm all for that. But son of a gun, once you've got it, be quiet until the next opening of the window comes.
Sports Beat, Sunday night at 9, here on TV 38.
As this 1991 season marks the 50th anniversary of Ted Williams hitting .406. And on Sunday, May 12th, the Red Sox will pay tribute to this Hall of Famer, recognizing number 9's glorious career. All fans entering the ballpark will receive a commemorative Ted Williams assemblage folder, compliments of Nissen Baking Company. That's Sunday, May 12th, as the Sox play host to the Texas Rangers. Dial 267-1700 to check on ticket availability.
5-1 Red Sox as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning here at the Sky Dome. John Olerud to lead off against Roger Clemens. Roger had his first 1-2-3 inning last inning. He needed just 5 pitches in the 3rd to retire the Blue Jays in order. Olerud struck out inning the 1st. He stranded 2 base runners. He takes a strike. Rance Mullenix on deck, and then Greg Myers.
Joe Carter was almost obligated to hit with a strike on him in that last inning, Sean. It's far too few pitches to allow Clemens to throw, especially after your pitcher has just come off the field, giving up the 5 runs. You just can't do that. You can't let Clemens have a 5-pitch innings at that point of the ball game.
That's one of the things Roger Clemens talked about early in the spring, that he was going to try this season to reduce his pitch count. He so regularly goes into 120, 130, sometimes even more than that pitch range. He'll be less concerned with trying to strike out every batter, make them put it in play, and try to save some wear and tear on the arm. Quintana, a nice play to Clemens. And that is 6 in a row retired by Roger. 1 out in the Toronto 4th. The Red Sox lead 5-1. If you're just joining us on this opening day, Blue Jays scored first in the 2nd. A leadoff single by Rance Mullenix. A ground rule double by Manuel Lee got him to 3rd, and Mookie Wilson knocked him in with a sacrifice fly. And the Red Sox answered with 5 runs in the top of the 3rd, highlighted by Jack Clark's grand slam. Mike Greenwell drove in the other run with an RBI single. Rance Mullenix single to left starting the 2nd, and he scored the only Blue Jay run of the game. Mullenix only appeared last year in 57 games. His lowest game total since 1981, when he appeared in 24 games for the Kansas City Royals. And most of his appearances last year were as a pinch hitter. He only started 20 games.
He was part of a platoon under Jimmy Williams, Garth Orge, and Mullenix holding down that 3rd base spot over there. Of course, that's long gone by the boards now with the years that they expect to get from Gruber.
Carlos will play this one himself. 2 outs.
We're talking about Roger becoming more of a contact pitcher. He needs, or he wants to cut down on his number of pitches. I'm not sure a lot of hitters are going to allow him to do that. His number 1 pitch, of course, is still the high-riding type fastball, which leads to a lot of foul balls. He can't control that. He can throw a few more split-fingered fastballs, but then that may leave himself open for being a bit more hittable. Probably would take that, though, as long as they're ground balls.
Greg Myers missed the breaking ball. Strike 1. Blue Jay catcher flied to left his first time up.
Don't hit that breaking pitch there. Clemens, when he first came to the big leagues, displayed quite a sharp and hard curveball. You don't see that pitch much from Roger anymore. Maybe that will figure back into his repertoire a bit more to stay away from the fastballs.
Strike 3. Myers gone quickly, as are the Blue Jays in the 4th. Clemens has now retired 8 in a row. And after 4, the Red Sox still lead 5-1.
Well, my grandfather came to New Hampshire And he would do cobble walls. He taught my father how to do it, and my father taught myself and my brothers. Most walls we did were dry walls. There's no cement in them. So it's a matter of very careful placement of one stone beside another stone.
In a place where people build things to last, it's not surprising so many New Englanders have chosen to bank with us.
And it'll always be there.
You watch TV 38 Sports, now you can wear it with Watch and Wear.
91, Heroes of Baseball game at Fenway, game time 1:05. Immediately following at 3:05 p.m., the Red Sox will battle the Texas Rangers. Order your tickets today. Call 617-267-1700.
Cito Gaston looking on from the Toronto dugout. He is a little bit concerned about his bullpen. We talked about Manuel Lee. Will he be able to cut it as the everyday shortstop for the Blue Jays? And out there in the bullpen, they have Tom Hankey, who is getting a little bit older. Dwayne Ward, who was inconsistent last year. They signed Ken Daly, an excellent left-handed reliever, as a free agent from St. Louis in the offseason, but he's been bothered by an inner ear problem, and his status is very much up in the air right now. He's going to be evaluated on a week-to-week basis. There was some fear it might be a situation along the lines of Nick Asaski and his battle with vertigo. Let's certainly hope that it is not, for Ken Daly's sake. It's been a long, very frustrating battle for Nick Asaski. The good news there is he seems to be getting better. Steve working to Boggs, the top of the order in the fifth for the Red Sox. They are batting with a 5-1 lead.
Getting better, but still started the season on the disabled list, did he not?
Yes, he did.
As did Daly, of course.
Daly's had some dizziness. The only left-hander in the bullpen for Toronto is Al Leiter, and he's trying to bounce back and reestablish himself as a major league pitcher. Boggs 1 for 1 with a single and a walk. He scored on the grand slam by Clark. And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wade to be followed by Jody Reed and Mike Greenwell.
Cito Gaston and the Blue Jays don't have the luxury that the Red Sox have. They don't have the early season off days, so Cito is into a 5-man rotation right away.
Alomar. And Boggs is retired for the first time this season.
After the start by Steve today, the Red Sox will see Jimmy Key tomorrow, and then Stottlemyre, and then Wells and Boucher will also be in the starting. Bouchette, excuse me, will be in the starting rotation for Gaston. That may be a little more reason for him to have some concern about the bullpen, because he doesn't have one of those good pitchers to take out of that rotation to give him a solid arm out there for some help.
Jody Reed struck out swinging in the first. He walked and scored on the Clark grand slam in the third. 1-0 on Jody. Greg Harris and Jimmy Key, the starters tomorrow night at 7:30. Matt Young, Todd Stottlemyre on Wednesday, also at 7:30. Both of those games on Nesson. Tomorrow night is a change in the original television schedule. We will depart the airwaves of TV 38 to make room for the Boston Bruins as they battle the Hartford Whalers in Game 4 of the Adams Division semifinals. The Bruins, with a win last night in Hartford, to take a 2-1 lead in that best-of-7 series. We are next with you over most of these stations on Thursday afternoon from Fenway Park for the home opener against the Cleveland Indians. 2-1, the count on Jody Reed. Two and two. Time called. Low and away, and the count is full.
Not only does Steve do some strumming with right-hand hitters, as I mentioned in this league, he collects guitars. About 8 of them he has now, and one from a very famous guitarist out of the group of Rush. If you're familiar with that rock group, I'm more along the country and western group side of music. I had to ask Steve about how popular the group Rush was, and supposedly he has a guitar from Geddy Lee, who was the lead guitarist from Rush. Oh, you're into Rush, are you?
Not in a big way, no. But I am familiar with Geddy Lee. Line foul. But although I am a native Bostonian, I tend to share your interest in country and western music.
I have a reason. What's yours?
I just kind of like it. Another 3-2 pitch. Reed called out on strikes. Second time Jody has struck out. He has been the victim for each of Dave Steeb's 2 strikeouts this afternoon.
Steve needs 41 strikeouts now in his career to reach the 1,600 mark. His strikeouts have come down in the last couple of years, and he's opting for a bit more ground balls. He doesn't walk very many batters, and cutting down on the strikeouts has helped his longevity.
Ball high and tight to Greenwell. That brings Myers out to the mound. Steve last year pitched the first no-hitter in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays on September 2nd at Cleveland. He no-hit the Indians, and Toronto won the game 3-0. Steve had previously gone 8 2/3 innings 3 times protecting no-hitters and lost all 3 of them. One of those was a perfect game for 8 2/3 innings in August of '89 against the Yankees when Roberto Kelly broke that up with a double. Steve finally did chalk up the no-hitter on that Sunday afternoon last season in Cleveland. 1-1 to Greenwell. Mike bounced to first in the first, single to right, driving in the Red Sox first run in the third, and he scored when Clark followed with the grand slam. 5-1 Red Sox in the 5th. Steve has more wins than any other pitcher in Toronto history, 166. Very high back of second. Alomar takes charge. The Red Sox go in order for the 2nd straight inning. Steve has now retired 7 in a row. But halfway through the ball game, it's the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
Let's say you're hungry, but you want to stay under 300 calories. You could try gumdrops, all 9 of them. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich. A grilled chicken breast fillet, ripe tomato, crisp lettuce, and your choice of barbecue sauce, honey mustard, or light mayo on a wheat bun. So when you're hungry but 300 calories is your limit, you could sink your teeth into watercress, several pounds. Or try McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich for a limited time.
Before I bought my first new car, I got my...
Won't fill you up and never let you down.
You can taste it, you can feel it. You know you got it right. 'Cause everything else is just a light. Just keep your light shining. Everything else is just a light. You got to shine on. Everything else is just a light.
Red Sox baseball is even more fun if you're part of a group. Come out to the ball game and bring your friends, family, or your co-workers. For small groups, phone 617-267-1700. And for groups of over 40, phone 617-262-1915.
The Sky Dome will be the site of the 62nd annual Major League Baseball All-Star Game on July 9th. Folks here in Toronto looking forward to that extravaganza coming to their fine city. Manuel Lee to begin the 5th for the Blue Jays against Roger Clemens. Roger has retired 8 in a row. The last Toronto batter to reach was Manuel Lee with his ground rule double down the left field line in the 2nd. Mookie Wilson to follow, and then the top of the order and Devon White. Lee taking all the way on the first pitch, and he looked at strike one. Clemens was a winner on opening day last year when he beat Jack Morris and the Detroit Tigers. The Red Sox won that ball game 5-2. That was the first win on opening day for the Red Sox in quite a while. They had lost their previous 4 season openers. They hadn't won since 1985. Ball and 2 strikes. This is only the second time the Red Sox have opened the season against Toronto. The first time was in Toronto at Exhibition Stadium in 1983, and the Red Sox lost that ball game. Or rather, that was at Fenway in 1983. The Red Sox lost 7-1. First time the Red Sox have ever opened the season in Toronto. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Full count now. Lee was sharing playing time at second base with Nelson Liriano last season. Then Liriano was traded to the Minnesota Twins, and Lee became the regular second baseman. It was just about that point that his offensive performance really went downhill. He was up around 280 at the time of the trade, and he finished the season at 243. Long run for Greenwell, and he can't get to it. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes.
In a way, you go back to talking about Roger cutting down on the number of pitches. He got a little help from Manuel Lee on the first 3-2 pitch. Lee swung the ball out of the strike zone to foul it off. Now he gets another 3-2 pitch and fouls it off. This is his point where Clemens really can't do an awful lot about it. I don't think you're going to see him switch his pitch selection at this point, especially to a Lee type hitter. You mentioned 120 to 130 pitches for Clemens. That's almost a normal for him. When he gets up to 145, 150 pitches, now you're getting a bit excessive for Clemens. For other pitchers, 125, 130 would be a lot. Boy, he did change selections.
Indeed, he did. And Lee strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Clemens. He fanned Myers to end the 4th, and that's 4 strikeouts in the ballgame for Roger.
One thing Clemens will do with this breaking ball, as well as the split-fingered fastball, he gives you the high rider pitch, which takes a hitter's attention upstairs. And once he goes to those pitches that go downstairs, it's awfully difficult for a hitter to maintain the proper eye contact and cover both those zones. It's almost impossible.
Mookie Wilson with a high chopper to Boggs, who was playing in, and Wade guns him down.
Boggs is going to take away any kind of a bunt thought that Wilson may have, and play it off for him having a chance really to make that play on the high chopper.
Clemens has retired 10 in a row. It's the top of the order for the 3rd time for the Blue Jays. Devon White struck out swinging in the first and bounced to short in the second.
White's obligated to hit with a strike on him here once again. Even though Clemens had to throw a few extra pitches to Lee, Wilson is out on 1 pitch. So you don't want to let Clemens get away with a 10 or less pitch inning, which could very well have happened.
Flailing swing by Devon White, and it's quickly 0-2. Red Sox lead 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Fastball just outside. Each team with 4 hits in this one. Big hit of the ball game, the grand slam by Jack Clark in the top of the 3rd. Foul ball. Did you happen to see the feature on Roger Clemens on ABC's primetime?
No, I did not.
I thought the most impressive aspect of it was when they set up the border of a strike zone, drew the outline of what would be the entire strike zone, asked Roger to hit specific points in that strike zone, and every single one he hit right on the money. It was a very flattering piece about Roger, portrayed him in a very positive light.
That didn't surprise many American League hitters, I'll bet.
No. Foul ball again, pass first. Still 2-2 on Devon White.
It's unusual, of course, that you have a power pitcher like Clemens who can also give you the
pinpoint control. The night he struck out the 20 Seattle Mariners, I don't think he
threw 2 pitches all night long that were anywhere near the middle of the plate.
They were all on the 2 inches of the outside corner, 2 inches
of the inside corner.
Struck him out. 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays. 2 more strikeouts in the inning for Clemens. Roger now has 5. And after 5, the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
This is the deadline. This is the goal. This is the plan. Through April 10th, your New England Ford dealer will do whatever it takes to offer you his best price on a new Ford Escort. Plus, you can save over $1,700 in finance charges with 3.9% financing for 48 months on the totally redesigned 1991 Ford Escort. 3.9% for 48 months could also lower your monthly payment. So remember the goal, remember the plan, but most of all, remember the deadline.
You'd better mark your calendar, because True Value hardware stores have a great tool at a great price every month in 1991. This month, it's a Master Mechanic 11-piece screwdriver set, including 5 slotted, 4 Phillips, and 2 Torx bits. In April, get the Master Mechanic 11-piece screwdriver set for just $7.99 while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Be at Fenway Park during Kids Week, April 17th and 18th at 105, when the Red Sox host Bo Jackson and the Kansas City Royals. First 15,000 fans aged 15 and under will receive a baseball card book, which includes a starter set of cards, complement of leaf candies. Purchase tickets with your Visa or MasterCard, phone 267-1700, or stop by the Red Sox ticket office at Fenway Park, or the clubhouse shop at the Burlington Mall. Be part of the fun during Kids Week. Order your tickets today.
Join us for our opening day coverage of Red Sox baseball. That's from Fenway Park this coming Thursday, 1 o'clock the game time. And the Red Sox will be hosting the Cleveland Indians.
Managed by former Red Sox manager John McNamara. That's when our
next coverage will come your way over the TV 38 Red Sox network. So check your local
listings for the time that the game will be on in your area.
And now Jim Acker is on the mound for the Blue Jays, replacing Dave Stieb, who started and worked the first 5. Acker on here in the 6th, with his team trailing 5-1, and he'll face the middle third of the Boston order. Jack Clark, Ellis Burks, and Tom Brunansky. Interesting that Stieb departs after the 5. He had settled into a groove, seemingly. He retired the last 7 Red Sox hitters he faced, but Jack Clark had the big hit against him. A grand slam in the 3rd. Turned a 1-1 game into a 5-1 Boston lead. Clark bounced the 3rd. His first time up. 1-1 the count on Jack.
Kind of a rough spring for Acker. He was roughed up a bit.
24 hits he gave up in 17 in the 3rd inning.
12 runs, 9 of those earned. Worked against the Red Sox in the game over in Winter Haven on a Saturday afternoon, and displayed a little control problem.
He seemed to be throwing the ball as hard as he had thrown it in the past.
Borderline strike at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Dave Stieb worked 5 innings, allowed 5 runs, all earned on 4 hits. He walked 2, struck out 2, and hit a batter. And if this score stands, he will lose to the Red Sox in Toronto for the first time since 1983. Acker is a native of Freer, Texas. He still lives there. He's 32 years old, 6'2", 215 pounds. And he strikes out Clark.
Put these two teams together, you got a lot of Texans on it. Ellis Burks from Fort Worth, Clemens, of course, who really grew up in Texas. Kelly Gruber's from Texas. Something a bit off speed, maybe almost looked like a slip pitch of some type from Acker. Clark wailing away at it. First strikeout for Clark in this 91 season.
Now Ellis Burks. He's 0 for 1, was hit by a pitch his last time up. A little chopper in front of the plate back in the second, and the catcher Myers bounced out in front of the plate and threw him out.
I think a right-hand batter facing Acker would have a tendency to swing at a bit at the motion. Gives you a lot of knees and elbow kicks and flips his back around on you. You get a lot of slinging kind of arm, which gets you a bit out in front. And that's just about what Acker's doing to Clark. He did, and Burke so far.
And he gets the ball on the pitch on the outside corner. Back-to-back strikeouts for Acker. 2 outs in the 6th. The Red Sox lead 5-1.
A pitcher's pitch all the way here. Kind of starts it on the outer third of the plate, and once it finishes breaking, it's caught just a piece of that outside corner. Acker picks up his 2nd strikeout in a row. 54 strikeouts for the right-hander last year. 91 innings.
He's outside with ball 1 to Tom Bernansky. Tom has bounced to second and popped to second. He has a home run in every American League park except the Sky Dome. 1-1 now on Bernansky. Tom was the hero of the big series with the Blue Jays in the final weekend of the regular season last year when he went 8 for 11 with 5 homers and 8 RBI September 28th, 29th, and 30th.
And then kept the week off with the catch.
That's right.
Off the bat of Ozzie Guillen.
On the Wednesday night at Fenway, as the Red Sox wrapped up the division title. Gruber, a long throw, nicely done. The Red Sox go in order again. Toronto pitchers have now combined to retire 10 straight Red Sox hitters. After 5.5, 5-1 Red Sox.
Introducing the Bud Light IMSA Racing Team. Catch it this season.
Let's go. All revved up and ready to go.
How do we get the truck back?
Throw it in reverse.
Let's go.
Ah.
Show the spirit. Show the pride. Bruins pride. The Boston Bruins face off with the Hartford Whalers in Game 4 of the Adams Division semifinals. Tuesday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
My mother said I was too much trouble, so she threw me out. It's pretty terrible out here. I wish I could go back home. They'd take me.
Brush up on the stats of your favorite Red Sox players. Order your 1991 Boston Red Sox media guide today. And to purchase your media guide, just mail $8. $2.50 of that is for postage and handling. The return address to Red Sox Media Guide, 4 Yawkey Way, Boston, Massachusetts, 02215.
Roger Clemens has retired 11 Blue Jays in a row. As he gets ready to go to work in the bottom of the 6th, he is working with a 5-1 lead. Clemens has not issued a walk. He has 5 strikeouts. He's fanned 3 of the last 4 Blue Jay hitters. And for the most part, it has been a very quiet sellout crowd here at the Sky Dome. Roberto Alomar to lead off. He's 0 for 2. He has twice bounced to second. He'll be followed by Kelly Gruber and Joe Carter. The ball high to Alomar. He's just 23 years old. He turned 23 on February 5th. And he's ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Two and one. Roberto Alomar was an all-star in the National League last year. For the first time in his career, this is his 4th season at the major league level. He's been keeping Jody Reed busy. That's the 3rd time Jody has thrown out Roberto Alomar. 1 out in the 6th. 12 in a row set down by Roger Clemens.
I wonder what's going to happen when he's the batter and his brother's a catcher.
For Cleveland, I mean, you work doubly hard to get your brother out, or you kind of help him
along somewhere?
Tempting, I would think.
Well, that's when we'll find out how close the brothers Alomar are.
Well, we won't. I don't know if we'll be around anytime when it'll ever happen. But check the box scores.
Kelly Gruber 1 for 2 with an infield single back in the 1st.
Must have been something. Brothers on an all-star team last year. One of them as a rookie.
Quite a baseball
family. Sandy Alomar, of course, the father I played against a number of years ago.
Naring throws him out. 13 in a row for Clemens.
I really think Boston fans are going to quickly fall in love
with Tim Naring and his play at shortstop.
He's a very steady, tight player. He's been called and
compared to Butch Hobson a couple of articles in the Boston
papers over the weekend, and he reminds me of Hobson. I said it long before those articles came out. His actions
are a lot like
Hobson's. I don't know if he's going to have the home run power that Hobson has, but I feel Naring can hit 12 to
15 home runs on a good year without much of a trouble.
And he's going to make all the standard plays for you, and he will display a strong throwing arm.
Breaking ball missed a little bit low and away to Joe Carter. He has singled to right and flied to center. We're in the 6th. The Red Sox lead 5-1. The hits even at 4 apiece. Borderline pitch called a strike. Let's say the replacement umpires, the guys on the bases, haven't really had any close calls to make, but home plate umpire John Higgins has done a very nice job.
Certainly has. A bit of all right. Spoke with Joe Carter by the
batting cage during the
Toronto pregame batting practice. He saw me and he says, "Look out, I'm coming back to Boston."
He has had 2 games of 3 home runs at Fenway Park. The only player in history to hit 3 home runs in a game twice at Fenway.
And he was amazed at being back in this league so quickly after San Diego
had spent all that money on him, and in 1 year they turn around and trade him right away. Kind of hard to believe.
That he thought it was bad business.
He did say, though, which I found a bit surprising, that he liked the brand of play in the National League more than in the American League, and he didn't have one of his better years over there last year.
Pulls it into the glove of Boggs. Blue Jays go in order again in the 6th. After 6, the Red Sox 5 and the Blue Jays 1.
Come in, Condor. 1, 2, testing.
The green monkey walks alone in the sky.
That's your signal. 2 caffeine-free diet Pepsis. Sorry, we've just run out. Order something else. But I don't want anything else. Just follow orders.
Look, I want great taste, but I don't want caffeine.
Sir.
I want a caffeine-free diet Pepsi.
Listen.
No, you listen. They do not all taste the same. I want caffeine-free
Amateurs.
You got the right one, baby.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
It's the early 1940s. Johnny Pesky joins the Boston Red Sox, and Joseph Bertolami opens the J.B. Sash and Door Company. Today, J.B. Sash and Door Company has a 47,000 square foot window design and manufacturing facility in Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Sal Bertolami.
And I'm Johnny Pesky. We're the Window Boys.
We specialize in selling and installing energy-efficient windows, doors, and accessories.
So come on in for a free tour. 884-8940. We're the Window Boys.
Back at the Sky Dome in Toronto and ready to move along to the 7th inning. The Red Sox lead 5-1. Toronto scored first in this game, a single run in the second. A sacrifice fly by Mookie Wilson scored Rance Mullinick. The Red Sox got all 5 of their runs in the top of the 3rd. An RBI base hit by Mike Greenwell. Scored Tony Pena, who started the inning with a double with the first Boston run. And Jack Clark hit a grand slam to make it 5-1. That's where we've been ever since.
These umpires are right on the ball. They give us our full allotted time in between innings so we can get all of our stuff in.
They do a better job than the regular umpires
during
in that
season
category. You're absolutely right.
That's the reason for the little pause there.
And had I known they were going to be so accommodating, I would have done the True Value Hardware Store scoreboard as scheduled. We'll get to that after Carlos Quintana bats. Carlos has hit the ball sharply twice today with nothing to show for it. He is lined to right and lined to short. Bottom 3rd of the order against Jim Acker, who's pitched 1 perfect inning of relief. Acker's had an interesting career. Started out in the Atlanta Braves organization. Never did reach the majors in his first go-round with Atlanta. Was traded to Toronto in 1983. Actually drafted by Toronto away from Atlanta in the Major League draft. No swing. Said first base umpire Fred Spann. Acker was with the Blue Jays 83 through 86. Then was traded back to Atlanta for pitcher Joe Johnson. And he returned to Toronto in 1989. Kelly Gruber throws out Quintana. Now we'll look at the True Value Hardware Store scoreboard. In the American League, Detroit has battled back to tie up the Yankees. They're at 4-4 after 6 in Detroit. Kansas City has come from behind to take a 3-2 lead over Cleveland, bottom of the 4th at Royal Stadium. Chicago leads Baltimore 5-1 in the bottom of the 6th at Baltimore, Milwaukee, and Texas tonight. In the National League, Cincinnati now leads Houston 6-1 after 5 innings in Cincinnati. New York leads Philadelphia 1-0 after 2 at Shea Stadium, Montreal, and Pittsburgh tonight. And that's the first edition of the True Value Hardware Store scoreboard for 1991. Here's Tony Pena. He doubled and scored the first Red Sox run of the game in the 3rd. He flied deep to center in the 4th. It'll be a close play. Olerud and Myers can't get it. It's in the first row of the seats. Tony led all major league catchers last year in games caught at 142. And if he has his way, it'll be that many or more this year.
I was kidding him this morning about if he was going to play today. since he wasn't in the lineup yesterday afternoon.
He said, "Are you kidding? I play every day."
And he would, too. It's a very difficult time. He doesn't know what to do with himself when he's not playing. Spring training games, I mean, he's a wreck. He's all over the place. Oh, throw the ball when that happens.
So much pressure is
Put on a pitcher's arm when they do that. He would be better off if Acker just took it and threw it up against the screen, anything, rather than holding on to that ball. That arm is in such speed, and all of a sudden you decelerate it. Ooh. The ball looked like it slipped out of there, didn't it?
Indeed it did. And Acker is a guy who's had arm problems in the past on a number of occasions.
That ball just came out way before Acker was ready.
Now low and away to get Tony. Acker's mowing them down. He's retired all 5 Red Sox he has faced, including 3 strikeouts.
It's kind of a funny looking pitch from
Acker. Both of them, the one up and in and over the head of Pena, and then the
strikeout pitch had some funny movement to it.
Check the ball. Here's Tim Naring. Tim has sacrificed and flied to center. Of course, by now most Red Sox fans know the story of Tim Naring. He struggled when he was called up last year, bothered by a back problem caused by the fact that his right leg is about an inch shorter than his left leg. He now has a lift in his shoe to help him combat that problem. He feels much better. He had a very steady spring.
He made a very good point today in the clubhouse. I was talking to him about the shoe. He said he felt that it was just as important, if not more important, to have his street shoe built up. He said, I actually spend more time on my street shoes than I do
my baseball shoes.
And he complained a little bit about having the right shoe built up with that extra piece on it because of the weight of the shoe. They are trying to work on some way to not only get it built up, but keep it somewhere within a comfortable weight range for him.
That was just inside. 2-2 on Tim.
But he's agreeing to put up
with almost anything now because of the great deal of comfort he's enjoying over what he's gone through in the past with that back being such a problem. It took him a long time to discover
exactly what was causing
all the problems with his back. First rookie shortstop
to start a season for the Red Sox since Rico Petrocelli
in 1965. I believe I'm correct.
You are indeed. This is Tim's first ever appearance of the Sky Dome.
You're a great manager.
Boy, is it quiet in here. 3 balls and 2 strikes. About 50,000 in here, but they are not making much noise. So the Red Sox jumped ahead on the Clark grand slam in the 3rd, and they've remained ahead at 5-1. A well-hit ball down to Gruber. Naring's out, as are the Red Sox in order again in the 7th. Toronto pitchers have now retired 13 in a row. 7th inning stretch at the Sky Dome with the Red Sox leading 5-1.
Times have changed. So have cars. Fortunately, Citgo has developed this new gasoline with HTA 1000 super detergent. It actually keeps today's cars running like new. So to take care of your car, fill it up with Citgo.
For a limited time, you can receive $10 worth of coupons on your next 3 fill-ups with an approved Citgo Plus credit card application. Take one and get 10 at Citgo.
You watch TV 38 Sports, now you can wear it with Watch and Wear from TV 38. Here's a heather gray t-shirt with a red, blue, and gold TV 38 Sports logo. It's 100% pre-shrunk cotton for just $9.95. Try on a Super Pro 12-ounce sweatshirt for size. It's white Pro Weight fleece with a red, green, and gray TV38 Sports logo. A great fit for $29.99. This cap is black corduroy with an adjustable strap, embroidered with a red, green, and purple TV38 Sports logo. Yours for $10.95. Call toll-free 1-800-543-3800. Use your MasterCard or Visa. Call toll-free 1-800-543-3800 or send a check or money order to Prestige, P.O. Box 500, Boston, Mass. 02135. Add $5 for shipping and handling for up to 3 items. Add 75 cents for each additional item over 3. No COD orders, please.
This Red Sox game summary is brought to you by your local Midas muffler, brake, and alignment shops. Big blow in this ball game. The grand slam home run in the 3rd inning by Jack Clark. It broke a 1-1 tie and gave the Red Sox the 5-1 lead they still enjoy. Jack Clark's first home run as a member of the Red Sox and his 8th career grand slam. And Roger Clemens has been outstanding, particularly lately. After a bit of a shaky start, he now has 5 strikeouts through 6 innings. He has retired 14 in a row as he gets ready to go to work in the 7th. That is today's Midas muffler, brake, and alignment shop Red Sox game summary. Clemens gave up 2 hits in each of the first 2 innings. He was touched up for a run in the 2nd. So the Blue Jays have not had a base runner since the 2nd. And again, Clemens' control has been outstanding. He has not issued a walk.
Only 1-3-2 count I have him marked down for.
Sean, so far in this ballgame, and I do not think he's had another 3-ball count of any kind.
John Olerud, the first hitter of the Toronto 7th, takes a strike. He is 0 for 2. He struck out swinging to end the 1st. He stranded 2 base runners. And he bounced to Quintana with Clemens covering in the 4th. Rance Mullenix and Greg Myers scheduled to follow. The hits are even at 4 apiece. The last hit in this game was the grand slam by Jack Clark. Clemens has retired 14 in a row, and the Toronto pitchers Steve and Acker have combined to retire the last 13 Red Sox hitters.
Spoke earlier that 3 out of 4 series that the Red Sox took from the Blue Jays here last year. That was one of the best 4-game series I had seen in
baseball in a long time.
Clemens' effort on Saturday afternoon was just unbelievable. A 1-0 shutout over the Blue Jays, when in the 9th inning, if you remember the close-up shots that we were getting on the monitors, we weren't working but watching.
It was like
Every pitch was, this is the pitch, and that's just the way he worked for 9 innings. Worked a bit like that on occasion here today.
Red Sox shutting out the Blue Jays 3 games in a row
in that series, with only a total of 4 runs being scored. Beat them 2-0 and then 2-1-0 games. Harris, Kicker, and Clemens picking up the wins.
Three balls and 2 strikes. The count on John Olerud. Clemens has fared well throughout his career against the Toronto Blue Jays. He is 9-4 lifetime against this team. He was 3-0 against them last year. Quintana will play it himself. 1 out in the 7th, 15 in a row. Retired by Clemens. The Red Sox lead 5-1. At Baltimore, the White Sox have opened up an 8-1 lead over the Baltimore Orioles. They're in the top of the 6th inning. Now Rance Mullenix, 35-year-old veteran, singled to left field and scored the only Toronto run in the 2nd. He bounced to first in the 4th.
Might be a good idea that Clemens stops trying to strike out so many people and become more of a contact pitcher. He's never going to catch Nolan Ryan. He got over 5,000. Clemens pitch another 20 years, he probably wouldn't catch him. He already holds the Red Sox all-time list for strikeouts.
Mullenix, as you would expect, the man to break up Clemens' string. He has constantly been a thorn in the side of the Red Sox, and he's 2 for 3 this afternoon.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Just something there that when Mullenix plays the Red Sox, he is just going to have good ball games. Rarely Do you see him wag that timber back to the bench with him when he's facing Red Sox pitching? Second hit for him in this ball game. Both of them well hit.
And the first hit for either team since the grand slam by Clark in the top of the third. 5-1 Red Sox. The Blue Jays are now hitting the Red Sox 5-4, and the batter is Greg Myers. The Toronto catcher has flied to left and struck out. Today is the 96th start of his career for Greg Myers, and he has never started a ball game against a left-handed pitcher. Quintana is playing behind Mullenix. 1-1 on Myers.
I think Clemens can look forward to if he goes into more of that ground ball pitching type mode with his breaking balls and split fingered fastball. Save himself some pitches, of course, with the ground ball double plays. He'd love one right here. And there's about an 87-mile-an-hour split fingered fastball. I mean, that is just unbelievable that he throws it that hard and yet still gets that kind of movement on it. All the scouts were buzzing about it on that particular day in spring training when he was clocked at 86, 87, 88 with the split. You take the old thing, you don't get guys out with velocity, so you throw the radar gun out, but in this instance you get velocity and movement, and the movement, of course, is by far the most important of the two. But when he puts two together, I mean, now you really got something.
2-2 pitch, struck him out. Myers down on strikes for the second time. 6 strikeouts now for Roger, and 2 outs in the 7th with the Red Sox leading 5-1.
Roger may also benefit from early parts of ball games by saving a few of those pitches. But when he gets into the 7th and 8th inning of ball games, when he needs to get back and retire a guy on strikes, not this particular situation, of course, but maybe a guy in scoring position less than the 2 outs, you need to ring a guy up with a strikeout. He'll have a little reserve to go to.
Manuel Lee doubled down the left field line in the 2nd. He struck out swinging in the 5th. That was a borderline pitch at best. Roger, the beneficiary of the close call, and strike 1 on Manuel Lee. Mullenix at first with 2 outs. Check swing at the fastball that was high. 1-1. Base hit, center field. Mullenix to second. 2 for 3 is Manuel Lee.
Be a bit pleasing for Manuel Lee, especially on an opening day, and especially against a Clemens caliber of pitcher, that you wound up with a couple of base hits in this particular game. As you mentioned last year, once Lee started to play a lot is when his average started to take a dive, winding up with a 243 mark on the year. But you don't really look for a middle infielder to hit much higher than the 245 to 250 range if he gives you the good job with the glove, and Lee certainly does that. He led All-American League second baseman last year with the highest percentage in fielding.
There seems to be some sort of problem out around second base. Jody Reed chatting with a couple of the umpires, and you can see that there is a hole right where the artificial turf meets the dirt. They'll want the ground crew to come fill that in.
Neither club had too many people around the second base bag, so it's not hard to understand why it would have taken this long to find it.
Meanwhile, the Blue Jays' new third base coach Rich Hacker was talking with home plate umpire John Higgins. And here comes the ground crew to try to fill in the hole. Manuel Lee certainly has to know that he is under intense scrutiny here in Toronto. There are many people who follow the Blue Jays who are just waiting for him to fail so that the Blue Jays will have to make a move at shortstop. There was some talk this spring about Toronto making an attempt to acquire Ozzie Smith, and the Blue Jays have Eddie Zosky, who will start the season in the minors, waiting in the wings. He is a highly touted young shortstop, and most people who follow the Blue Jays closely believe it's just a matter of time before he is the everyday shortstop for the Blue Jays for a long time to come. If you snuck out of work a little bit early but weren't with us earlier in the ball game, this is the big blow of the game that you might have missed. Jack Clark, with the bases loaded in the top of the third in a 1-1 game, hit a tremendous shot, a line drive that got into the second deck and left in no time. Clark's first home run as a member of the Red Sox, his 8th career grand slam. That made it 5-1, and we've had a pitcher's duel ever since.
We were in Boston. I would ask John Wilson, our producer director, to put the speed shot on that for us. We don't have the capabilities of doing that when we're away from Fenway Park, working without our own trailer, but that would be worth a speed shot there to figure out exactly how long it took that baseball to get off Clark's bat and into that second row or second deck of seats.
Hey, they better be careful where they drive that cart. That cart may get lost
in that size of it all. I saw out there.
Looks like a pothole you might see along the central artery.
We've got plenty of room here, though. One of the beautiful broadcast areas.
Yes, we do. We can spread out and have a touch football game in here. It's our pal Jerry Remy. Be sure to tune in during the commercials of the Bruins game tomorrow night to Nesson and watch game 2 of this series between the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Ned and Jerry should certainly be in midseason form. They worked a number of exhibition games. I believe 15. Jerry's going to get back to the hotel and take a nap now to make sure he's ready for tomorrow.
And you know what happens is so often when you're working spring training games, you do a lot of National League games. You spend a lot of time in the back
of press guides. You're not up in the middle of it, up in the front
where the real everyday players are. You just
have to find out who number 61 is.
That's right. And he's usually on page number
161, too, where you find him.
Clemens doing some light throwing as the ground crew fills in the hole near second base. This game was breezing right along.
Jody Reed could have gotten lost in that hole. We never would have known it.
Okay, guys, that's enough. Let's go.
Now Joe Morgan out to chat with Roger Clemens. The tying run will be in the on-deck circle when play resumes. Mookie Wilson is the scheduled hitter. With runners at first and second and 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th, the Red Sox lead 5-1. Toronto now has 6 hits. They had 2 in the first, 2 hits in the second, and then not a hit until this inning. They have 2 singles here in the 7th. That's Devon White sharing the on-deck circle with Mookie Wilson.
I saw a shot just a moment ago of another monitor here in the ballpark that showed the Red Sox bullpen, and we cannot see in the Red Sox bullpen here, but it showed Jeff Gray throwing in the Red Sox bullpen. Jeff Reardon, who did not work the last
4 or 5 games during spring training because of
somewhat of a tender back, is available, just not to a point where you'd see Reardon.
Play set to resume. Mookie Wilson at the plate, 0 for 1 with a sacrifice fly, and he has bounced to third. He takes a strike on the inside part of the plate just above the knees.
Talk about how quickly Wilson became a fan favorite here in Toronto. Blue Jays played an exhibition game at Shea Stadium against the Mets on Saturday.
Lined and caught by Neary.
And he was greeted with a standing ovation when he came up to pinch hit. Still loved even over the National League.
Blue Jays strand 2 in the 7th. They've now left 5 men on base, and after 7 it's still the Red Sox 5 and Toronto 1.
Budweiser cordially invites you to a party at Trump Plaza. Dress is casual. Punch will be served. And there will be plenty of Budweiser on hand. Budweiser presents Holyfield versus Foreman. April 19th at Trump Plaza.
Let's party.
The Undisputed Heavyweight Championship. Brought to you by the Undisputed King of Beers.
Through 7 innings, the Red Sox have 5 runs on just 4 hits. The Toronto Blue Jays 1 run on 6 hits. Red Sox have left only 1 man on base through 7 innings, while the Blue Jays have stranded 5. It's been an error-free game. And Cito Gaston has gone back to his bullpen for the 3rd Blue Jay pitcher of the afternoon and the only lefty in the bullpen for Toronto, 25-year-old left-hander Al Leiter.
One thing Leiter cannot do any better than Acker did. Acker faced 6 Red Sox batters and shut them all down in his 2 innings of work. Al Leiter, the man you may remember, had the blister problem all the time. He kept throwing in minor league baseball. As I said, the stitches were too high and he kept getting blisters and couldn't really work. He's had parts of seasons
in the big leagues with the New York Yankees and now with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Last year in 4 appearances with Toronto. He can strike some people out. But he will also do a lot of that. He'll throw it outside the strike zone. His walks and strikeouts about an even match.
And he's facing the top of the Boston order in the 8th. Red Sox lead 5-1. Wade Boggs ahead in the count 2-0. They said throughout this spring, Leiter also struggled with his control. Almost always working behind the count. Boggs a single and a walk. He's 1 for 2. He's also bounced to second. He scored on the Clark grand slam in the 3rd. True to form, Leiter has fallen behind 3-0. He walked 10 in 17 innings of work this spring. And he walks Boggs on 4 pitches. Jim Acker 2 perfect innings. He struck out 3 and he got the other 3 outs on ground balls to 3rd. That is the first base runner for the Red Sox since Ellis Burks was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Acker and Steve had combined to retire 13 Boston batters in a row. Jody Reed is 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. He walked and scored back in the 3rd. All of his plate appearances today against Dave Steve. Jody showing bunt and took a ball.
Here's where Joe Morgan has a real luxury. Now,
You've shown the bunt one time, and here's a guy who's having a little trouble getting it over the plate. Now all of a sudden you can switch. Leiter says, gee, I got to get something in there. So you take a little off, and now Jody Reed gets a cookie to whittle on. Maybe look for a gapper and
watch Reed and Boggs run.
Jody squared again. This time got a strike. Red Sox already lead by 4. They have the top of the order up against the pitcher who's struggling. You wonder why they seem determined to bunt.
And a left-hander on deck.
But that's what they do. And Leiter throws him out. It's a sacrifice, 1-4.
You always like to have that 5-run lead. Obviously, with a 5-run lead, the tying run can never come to the plate. And it's one thing you'd look for. However, Joe Morgan played for 1 run much earlier in this ball game and wound up with a 5-run inning. Could it happen 2 times in the same game? Not likely.
I understand what you're saying, and there's no way to argue with that. Certainly, they can't hit a 5-run home run, but already ahead by 4 with Clemens cruising, with the top of the order up there against a pitcher who just barely made the staff and has struggled throughout with his control.
I don't like the
Mr.
bunt.
Reed swing the bat.
Oh, absolutely. Put it in play. See how hard you can hit it.
Greenwell chops it foul past first. Mike is 1 for 3 today. There's one hit, an RBI single to right in the 3rd. That drove in the first run of the season for the Red Sox. Then Jack Clark followed with the grand slam. Acker is a native, rather Leiter is a native of New Jersey, from Toms River, New Jersey. That's out of play, 3rd base side. Al was traded by the Yankees to Toronto April 30th of 1989 for Jesse Barfield. In a trade that hasn't done much, at least yet, for Toronto. Monty mentioned Leiter was only in 4 games last year for the Blue Jays. Pitched in 1 game for them in 1989. He gets Greenwell on the strikeout. For the second out of the 8th, the Red Sox lead 5-1.
Everything's still about standard for Leiter. Base on balls and a strikeout here in this inning. And I mentioned those numbers stay about there. Greenwell wanted to get to the outside part of this plate all the time, having the inside part of the plate in the back of his mind. Consequently, you got that bit of a protective kind of swing at the left-hander. By bunting Jody Reed, you just about dead gave up the out, which really I don't think was necessary to give up with the 4-run lead at this point in the ball game.
Jack Clark 1 for 3 with the grand slam in the 3rd. He's also bounced 3rd, and he struck out against Akers last time up in the 6th. Leiter misses outside. 2-0. Kansas City still leads Cleveland 4-2 in the top of the 6th at Royal Stadium. And Detroit has taken a 6-4 lead over the Yankees. They're in the top of the 8th at Tiger Stadium. Clark looked at it all the way on 3-0. It's 3-1.
Former Battery mate of mine, Galen Cisco, right here in Toronto, as a matter of fact. We both were Maple Leafs at that time, back in 1967. Well,
did you skate your wing?
Did I what?
Skate your wing?
Skate
for the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, skate.
There's ball 4. Jack Clark, the first of probably 100 or so walks he will draw this year.
105, 106, somewhere along in there. Galen, one of those pitchers that really knew how to finish a game off and could really give you a lot of different looks. He's also famous, of course, for his Rose Bowl prowess. Very good running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Under Woody Hayes, he was the captain of the Ohio State team that beat Oregon in the 1958 Rose Bowl. Ellis Burks looked at strike 1. Ellis is 0 for 2. He was hit by a pitch by Dave Stieb in the 3rd. Red Sox batting with a 5-1 lead in the top of the 8th. 2 walks in the inning. Boggs the runner at second and Clark at first. Fouled out of play, first base side. Chicago leads Baltimore 8-1 in the bottom of the 7th. At Baltimore. Over the National League, Cincinnati has a 6-1 lead over Houston. That game is being held up by rain in the 6th inning.
I was thinking about that today when it thundering and the lightning and all the rain. Just a carryover from spring training. It seemed like we played in rain almost every other day or every weekend for sure in Florida.
Burks down the line, past the dive of Gruber and into the corner. Boggs around to score. Clark will try for 3rd, and he'll get there, and Burks pulls into 2nd. A double for Ellis Burks, and the Red Sox lead is now 6-1.
Well, you've got the 5-run lead now. The tying run can never come to the plate as long as you hold that. Ellis Burks seems to get up to a pitch that's a bit out of the strike zone. Gets on top of it. Gets it just over the glove of the diving Gruber. Here comes Boggs to score from 2nd. And the Red Sox lead by a handful.
First RBI of the year for Burks. Cito Gaston on his way to the mound. The Mets lead Philadelphia 2-0 after 4 innings at Shea Stadium. Montreal and Pittsburgh the only night game in the National League. There will be a pitching change here in Toronto with the Red Sox leading 6-1.
Baseball isn't always easy or painless or pretty. But But with 2 boxes of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes or Kellogg's Raisin Bran, baseball's free. Just clip the vouchers from the box, redeem them for a ticket, and you're in the game. Choose from any of these exciting dates. See package for more details. So don't drop the ball. Catch a free game. But hurry, this offer's going. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Your ticket to the game.
I just traded in that great deal I got 4 years ago. Now I know who paid for the big rebate and the low interest rate. Live and learn. That's why I drive a Toyota now. And Camry's the most trouble-free new car in its class, with an option package that saved me real money today. And value that's gonna save me real money tomorrow. Live and learn.
See your New England Toyota dealer today for Toyota value. It's the best deal going.
When you're looking for a one-of-a-kind taste under 300 calories, there's this. Or this. McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich. A chicken breast filet, marinated then grilled to perfection. Ripe tomato, crisp lettuce, and your choice of a barbecue sauce, honey mustard, or light mayo, all on a wheat bun. So if you're looking for a one-of-a-kind taste under 300 calories, there's this. Or this. McDonald's new grilled chicken breast sandwich. For a limited time.
Today's game is brought to you in part by McDonald's for good food and good value. And by Diet Pepsi. The right one, baby.
Uh-huh. Mike Timlin will be the 4th pitcher used by the Blue Jays this afternoon. This young man started his professional career in 1987 and before last year had never pitched higher than A ball. So in 1990 he goes from A up to AA, and in 91 finds himself pitching in the big leagues for the Blue Jays.
He is from Midland, Texas.
Another Texas connection here with Toronto. He's 6'4", 205 pounds. He worked strictly as a reliever all of last year, winning 7, losing 2 at Dunedin, saving 22 for the Dunedin Blue Jays, then was a losing record at Knoxville in the AA leagues. Quite a jump for this young man, virtually from A ball to the big leagues in 1 year.
He was one of the biggest surprises of the spring for the Blue Jays. He's on with runners at 2nd and 3rd. With the Red Sox leading 6-1 in the 8th, and the batter is Tom Berdansky. He's 0 for 3 today, and he took ball 1 low. Berdansky has bounced to 2nd, popped to 2nd, and grounded to 3rd. Inside corner, and strike 1. Runner at 3rd is Jack Clark, and aboard at 2nd following a double, Ellis Burks. '25-year-old Mike Timlin breaking ball, check swing by Berdansky. It was not a swing, said Fred Spen. I say bring these umps back tomorrow. That's inside. 3-1. And Carlos Quintana waits on deck.
Do you have any of the decided upon or agreed upon deal between the umpires
no,
and baseball? Was that handed down at all?
No, there really wasn't. The arrangement was made this morning. There's ball 4 low and away. That loads the bases. 3 walks in the inning. 2 by Leiter, now 1 by Timlin.
Suppose there was only
salary was the last
like
remaining issue.
$30,000 difference per team, the way I understand it. One report I read in one of the Toronto papers this morning.
Under the previous 4-year contract that had expired between the umpires in Major League Baseball, the umpires' salaries ranged from $41,000 a year to $105,000. Quintana, with the bases loaded, takes a strike. Carlos 0 for 3 today. The last offer that was reported in the press to the umpires by Major League Baseball would have raised the minimum umpire salary to $57,500 and the maximum to $155,000.
They probably found some middle ground in that, I would expect. They did add 1 more man, I think, to the crew. They have now 5-man crews, which will allow more off time for each guy in there. You're not going to see 5 guys on a crew on the field at one time. It's just going to be a rotating basis where the guy will have one of the 4 previous umpires will have more time off. How they're going to work that and decide what more time off is, I don't know. Got all winter off just like a player. What's the big deal?
The Q in the hole 0-2. Of course,
they don't have a home to go to in the summertime.
The players at least have a home where they go half the time during the year. The umpires are constantly out on the road. Still no balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and the bases loaded. 1 run in here in the 8th. The Red Sox lead 6-1. And the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes on the cue. Slap down to first to Olerud. The Red Sox get 1 and leave the bases loaded in the 8th after 7.5 at Skydome in Toronto. 6-1 Red Sox.
This is the deadline. This is the goal. This is the plan. Through April 10th, your New England Ford dealer will do whatever it takes to offer you his best price on a new Ford Escort. Plus, you can save over $1,700 in finance charges with 3.9% financing for 48 months on the totally redesigned 1991 Ford Escort. 3.9% for 48 months could also lower your monthly payment. So remember the goal, remember the plan, but most of all, remember the deadline.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
What a moment for the Bruins and their fans.
And there's nothing like this.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
Today's game is brought to you in part by the 9X Yellow Pages. If it's out there, it's in here. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. Back at the Skydome, and we're heading for the bottom of the 8th inning. The Red Sox trailed 1-0 after 2, but they scored 5 times in the 3rd. Highlighted by a grand slam from Jack Clark, and that has been more than enough for Roger Clemens. Red Sox added 1 in the top of the 8th inning. Clemens working with a 6-1 lead. Roger has allowed 6 hits through 7 innings and 1 earned run. He has not issued a walk. He has recorded 6 strikeouts. The attendance here today, 50,114. That is the 2nd largest crowd ever here at the Skydome. 50,114. Top of the order for the Blue Jays, Devon White, 0 for 3. He has struck out twice and grounded to short. Roberto Alomar and Kelly Gruber scheduled to follow. That's been a familiar looking swing today for White against Clemens.
I don't think Rogers broken a sweat against Devon White yet.
Wade Boggs in front of the bag at 3rd. The ball low, 1-1. Tough play for Quintana. Nicely done with the backhand to Clemens for the first out of the Toronto eighth.
Carlos led all first basemen last year with assists
In the American League, 137 of them.
And this is the whole part of this. Never mind the assist. The tough play is handling that in-between hop, which he does nice and clean and gets it on to Roger.
We traveled to Hartford, Connecticut a couple of weeks ago, along with Red Sox manager Joe Morgan and general manager Lou Gorman, to speak to our friends at WVIT, TV 30, our Red Sox network station in Hartford. And on the ride down, Joe Morgan said of all the things that impressed him in the field about Carlos Quintana last year, his throwing ability most stood out. Somebody adjusting to the position, he always seemed to put the ball right in the right spot for the fellow fielder to handle it.
And he threw out 7 runners at the plate, and not all of them
on easy plays, we might add. A couple of them grounders like that he had to come up with firing.
Late swing by Roberto Alomar, who's behind in the count 1-2. He's 0 for 3 on 3 ground balls to second.
All the first basemen that I played with or against, I thought George Scott was perhaps the best
throwing first baseman. Carlos Quintana
is starting to gain a lot more respect for me the more I see him play over there. I don't know if he'll ever be better than George Scott. That'd take a lot of doing to be better than Scotty in that area. But Carlos Quintana oftentimes makes a lot of those plays look so very routine, and they in fact are not. They're not easy plays.
Still a ball and 2 strikes on Roberto Alomar with 1 out in the 8th. Roger Clemens in cruise control at the moment. He has a 6-1 lead. Burks backs up a few steps and takes the line drive for the second out. Now Kelly Gruber. He is 1 for 3 with an infield single back in the first. Tough pitch, breaking ball outside part of the plate for a strike to Gruber. Kelly spent 1 semester at the University of Texas. He was an outstanding 4-sport athlete in high school in Austin, Texas. Was a fine quarterback in football in high school. Went to the University of Texas, but then was Cleveland's first-round selection in the June 1980 draft and decided to sign with the Indians and begin his professional baseball career. Clemens ahead of his fellow Longhorn, 1-2. Jody Reed handles the pop-up. That is the 5th 1-2-3 inning for Roger Clemens. After 8, the Red Sox 6 and the Blue Jays 1.
What makes you cool is your attitude, your inner self. It's not the way your hair is cut. It's not the clothes you wear. Not the clothes you wear. It's not what you drink. Got that right. You got Pepsi for me? Who knew?
He's hard-hitting, hard-loving, hard-drinking, and hard to imagine as the only pilot in the history of aviation who can save airplanes. Starring Peter Griggs, Leslie Nielsen, Robert Stack, Barbara Billingsley, and Robert Hayes as the pilot. Take cover with me, Dana Hersey, when Airplane comes to the Movie Loft Monday, April 29th on TV 38.
We hope you'll tune in to TV 38 tomorrow night at 7:30 for Game 4 of the Adams Division semifinals between the Boston Bruins and the Hartford Whalers. The Bruins lead that best-of-7 series 2-1. Originally, we were scheduled to be with you tomorrow night from Toronto with Game 2 of this series. But the Bruins will be on Channel 38 tomorrow night at 7:30, and you can watch the baseball game on Nesson. Again, it's the Bruins and Whalers tomorrow night at 7:30 on TV 38. We are next with you with Red Sox baseball action over most of these stations on Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock from Fenway, the home opener against the Indians.
Get a chance to look at newly acquired Danny Darwin in that start for the Red Sox.
Mike Timlin getting ready to work in the ninth. The Red Sox with a 6-1 lead. Timlin, the fourth Toronto pitcher of the afternoon, and he is scheduled to face Tony Pena, Tim Naring, and Wade Boggs. Jim Samia of the Red Sox public relations staff has provided us with some information about grand slams on opening day. The last Red Sox grand slam on opening day was Carlton Fisk, April 6th of 1973 against the Yankees. A game the Red Sox won 15-5. You probably remember that.
Another game I watched.
That was the last Red Sox grand slam on opening day. Prior to that, hit today by Jack Clark in the third inning. Tony Pena's sinking line drive caught by Carter. And Tony is 1 for 4. And the last player to hit a grand slam in his first game as a member of the Red Sox, Jake Jones, June 15th of 1947.
He was traded between games of a doubleheader, we're told, and I don't know exactly what other team was involved, or even if the Red Sox were involved. 1947. Oh, Jack Clark.
So you didn't see that one?
Nope. Oh, they didn't have TV where I lived then, 1947. We still had the kerosene lamps out.
Tim Naring.
When they had the TV screen, they looked like little fish bowls. They were still round.
1-1 on Tim, who was 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. Well hit, but on a hop to Manuel Lee at short. 2 outs in the ninth. In the bottom of the ninth, the Blue Jays are scheduled to have Joe Carter, John Olerud, and Rance Mulliniks face Roger Clemens. That is the middle third of the Blue Jay batting order. Roger will be trying to pitch the Red Sox first complete game on opening day since 1982, when Dennis Eckersley on April 10th of that year shut out the Orioles in Baltimore 2-0. Boggs looked at ball one high. Wade has walked twice, single to center, and grounded out. He has scored after each of his 2 walks. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I remember that game that Eckersley pitched, and I was surprised at his control in that ball game. Something happened in 1982 that there was a space of time between spring training and the season started. I don't know if it was another player-owner confrontation or not exactly what caused that, but thinking about it, Roger Clemens to this point has not walked a batter, and I don't believe Eckersley walked a batter in that particular ball game.
That's out of play in left field, 1-2.
I remember making a comment that it would be unusual, and I am sorry I don't remember what caused the delay, but it seemed to be a span of time, and I was surprised that Eckersley had such pinpoint control with the long layoff. That was long before I knew Eckersley had the kind of control that he has.
Timlin bounced it in front of Greg Myers. And Myers returned the favor. How about Mackey Sasser of the Mets having all kinds of difficulty now in throwing the ball back to the pitcher?
Why wouldn't he stand up and throw it back to the pitcher? He's not going to get any better by the way he's trying to get it back to him by sitting down and lobbing it back. I don't know how they figure that. It's kind of strange that he doesn't have a problem on would-be base stealers throwing it, so why wouldn't he stand up and throw it back to the pitcher? However, That is not an uncommon problem for catchers. There have been a number of Ray Fosse had that problem. Ray Fosse used to have to beat the glove 2 or 3 times before he could toss it back to the pitcher. And there was a catcher, Mike Ivy, one time with the San Diego Padres, who absolutely couldn't throw it to the pitcher. He had to walk a couple steps in front of the mound and toss it underhand to get it back to the pitcher. Yeah. I think a lot of that was due to the fact that he didn't want to catch, and he used that as a way to get out from behind the plate. But it's not a it's not common, but it's certainly not a rare thing for catchers to have that problem. Has to be strictly a mental thing when you can throw it from home to second on a would-be base stealer. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the man physically.
It's ball 4. Boggs worked Timlin for the 3rd walk Wade has drawn today. That is the 2nd walk issued by Mike Timlin and the 6th yielded by Blue Jay pitching this afternoon. The Red Sox lead 6-1, and they have a base runner with 2 outs in the top of the 9th.
Tell you, with Charlie O'Brien over with that Met club now, as you look down the Toronto Blue Jay bench, some slumped shoulders over there with a 5-run deficit here in the 9th inning. Charlie O'Brien might have taken that job away from Sasser anyway. He's a pretty good catcher. Reminds me a little bit of Mike Heath in that he has a lot of action behind the plate. He springs in his leg. And he can get to do an awful lot of catching for the Brewers because B.J. Surhoff was handling it over there. That's the guy you made the comment about the yellow catching gear, remember?
Yes, the fluorescent yellow. The lights went off in the stadium at night.
He was still
able
there
to follow Charlie out of the park. Jody Reed is over 2, but he has walked and scored, and he's also successfully sacrificed. That was last inning. 2-1 the count. Of course, Steve Sachs had the problem of throwing as a second baseman to the first baseman while he was a member of the Dodgers. He overcame that. Gruber, the short way to Alomar to force Boggs and end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 9th on opening day 1991. The Red Sox with a 6-1 lead.
Nothing beats a bud with a friend. Nothing beats what we've got here. Nothing beats clean, crisp, cold. Nothing beats the king of beers. Yeah, nothing beats a bud. Yeah, nothing beats a bud. Nothing beats a Budweiser. Nothing beats a Bud.
Consider this for only $14,494. The 1991 Legacy L Plus station wagon with 4-wheel drive and 5-speed transmission, automatic slightly more, air conditioning, 80-watt ETR stereo cassette, power steering, power windows, and power door locks, dual power mirrors, and driver's side lumbar support. All for $14,494. Yes, you heard it right, $14,494. Car for car, dollar for dollar, America's Best Buy. See your New England Subaru dealer now.
Well, the Red Sox will take Clemens out of this ball game with an inning to go, and on will come Jeff Gray. An excellent job by Clemens on this opening day of the 1991 season. Gray will come on after working 12 games for the Red Sox during spring training. Last year, Jeff 2 and 4 in a Red Sox uniform with 9 saves, and those 9 saves came at a most valuable time for the Red Sox when Jeff Reardon came down with a back problem, necessitated or actually needing surgery to fix that. Jeff Gray stepped right in to pick up that closing role, working 41 games for the Red Sox, won 2, lost 4 to go along with those 9 saves. 50 strikeouts for the right-hander and 50 2/3 innings of work. They did that a combination of ways. He would most often use a split-fingered fastball to set up his fastball to get hitters on call third strikes. This spring in 14 innings, Jeff struck out 7 while walking just 2.
And we saw that he was working on a slider, which seemed to be rather impressive, added to his repertoire of the fastball and split finger pitch. Facing the middle third of the order, Joe Carter, then John Olerud and Rance Molodix. Carter was 1 for 3 against Clemens with a single to right back in the first. Roger in his first outing of the 91 season, 8 innings, He allowed 1 earned run on 6 hits. He did not walk anybody, and he struck out 6. Carter greets Gray with a long drive to left. Greenwell on the run. It is gone. The first Toronto home run of the season for Joe Carter. That cuts the Red Sox lead to 6-2.
And that is his 19th home run against Red Sox pitching in the major leagues. Carter, wearing the old number of Jesse Barfield, number 29, gets to a long distance with this one, high and above the 375 mark. Long gone from here.
Believe it or not, 19 home runs is not his high against an opponent. He has 21 lifetime home runs against the Milwaukee Brewers, and he is also at 19 against the Minnesota Twins. John Olerud, the batter. He's 0 for 3. Strikeout and 2 groundouts against Clemens. And he's now ahead 2-0. So a rough greeting for Jeff Gray. The first pitch he threw blasted well over the 375 mark in left field. Seven hits now for Toronto. They are out hitting the Red Sox 7-5. Three and all. Joe Morgan, a bit more anxious than he was moments ago, with pitching coach Bill Fisher alongside. We do not have the exact pitch count. We'll try to get that for you. Didn't seem, in watching Roger work, that he had thrown a lot of pitches.
Had that 1-5 pitch inning, which certainly would have helped his total. He did have 6 strikeouts, but that's not very many strikeouts for Roger, really. He's usually around that 8 to 10 range, 11. And I have him down for only 1-3-2 count.
Olerud walks on 5 pitches. First walk thrown by Boston pitching today. Here's Rance Mullenix, 2 for 3 against Clemens. And Bill Fisher heads to the mound. Again, we cannot see into the Red Sox bullpen, but I would imagine, given the situation, that there is activity out there. And indeed there is, as Jeff Reardon has started throwing. Mullenix had 2 singles in 3 trips against Roger, and he scored the first Blue Jay run. It was the first run of the game back in the second. Blue Jays led briefly 1-0 with that run in the second. The Red Sox answered with 5 in the third and have not trailed since. Quintana is playing behind Olerud. Mullenix takes a strike. Let's pause for station identification along the TV 38 Red Sox network.
This is TV 38, WSBK TV, Boston.
Sean McDonough, Montgomery on opening day, 1991 at the Sky Dome in Toronto, where the Red Sox lead 6-2 in the ninth. And you held it there for an extra look from home plate umpire John Higgins. It is a ball and a count of 1-1. Mullenix to be followed by Greg Myers. We understand that we have lost the video portion of our feed back to Boston. We'll do best we can to describe all the action for you. Mullenix lifts a fly ball to left field. Greenwell drifting back and has room, and he makes the catch about 10 feet in front of the warning track. Olerud returns to first with 1 out. That'll bring up Greg Myers. The Toronto catcher is 0 for 3 this afternoon. He flied to left in the second and went down swinging in the 4th and 7th innings against Clemens. They've resumed that game in Cincinnati after a rain delay. The Reds lead Houston 9-2 now in the 9th inning, and the Mets lead Philadelphia 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th at Shea Stadium. Myers, a bounding ball, just foul along the first base line. One strike on Myers. Manuel Lee is on deck. Final score in the American League, the Tigers defeated the Yankees 6-4 at Tiger Stadium. Kansas City leads Cleveland 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th at Royal Stadium. One strike pitch gets away from Pena, an off-speed pitch. Here to be right off Tony's mitt, and Olerud moves down to second. Pitch over the outside part of the plate. Looked like it hit Tony right in the mitt.
He hit fool. Maybe it wasn't a changeup call, and he got one anyway from Gray.
Tony had 6 pass balls last year, and the way I saw this one in the first place, this should be a pass ball. He just got crossed up. Couldn't get the glove turned in the proper position. Should be scored as a pass ball. And that's the way they rule it.
So runner at second now with 1 out. 1 run in here in the 9th on the home run by Carter. The Red Sox lead 6-2. And Gray missed outside with ball 2 to Greg Myers. 2 balls and a strike. The outfield swung around right for the left-handed batting Myers. The infield deep all the way around. Jody Reed, the second baseman, is about 10 feet out in right field. Well, we understand that the video portion of our feed has been restored. We welcome you back to the Sky Dome, where the count is 3-1 on Myers. Olerud, the runner at second. Burks with room. 2 outs now in the 9th inning.
More than an out away from his 218th career victory.
In the Red Sox uniform as manager. I would have to think this one most pleasing. Question mark still up late in the spring as to whether Roger would be able to pitch this ball game today.
Manuel Lee, the hitter, he's 2 for 3. That was against Clemens. Takes the strike, and you have to think that it's just a matter of time before Roger's going to have to serve that full 5-game suspension and pay the fine. It's very unlikely that Fay Vincent, the commissioner, would undo what Bobby Brown, the American League president, has done twice.
It's not likely. The only thing that will happen now, more than likely, the 5-game suspension will cost Roger just 1 start in reality, where if it had started today, Clemens would not have been able to pitch until Sunday's game in Boston,
which really would have had him miss 2 turns. He would have missed today,
and he also would have missed Saturday's start. which will be his next scheduled start. So by postponing it, looks like he's going to wind up with an excellent opening day victory today. And then wherever it falls in line should only cost him one start rather than an actual 2.
We were curious about the pitch count for Roger and the possibility of fatigue. He threw 103 pitches through his 8 innings, which is low
by his standards.
Oh, yes. 30 of them balls and 73 strikes. Roger was indeed sharp on opening day and in line to get the win if Jeff Gray can elicit the final out from the Toronto Blue Jays. Manuel Lee up there with a count of 1-2.
One reason he makes all that money. It's just successful pitchers are consistently working ahead in the count, and Clemens is premier at that.
Fastball backs Lee away from the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jeff Gray turns 28 on Wednesday. He's from Alexandria, Virginia. Now makes his home in Riverview, Florida. Foul ball in left field. About half of the 50,000 that were here at the beginning are still here. For a ballpark that is right downtown, particularly a stadium of this size, it is easy to get in and out of here. Many folks come on the train that runs right below us.
As a matter of fact, yeah, right below us, literally. I mean, there's a big station on up under here, if I'm not mistaken. Subway and train, I believe, meet here. Always seems to be some kind of a traffic, rather heavy congestion around this area, though, when a game is over. We've got plenty of time, though, to get to a flight.
Indeed we do. That should end it. Reed throws out Manny Lee. And the Red Sox are 1-0 and in first place in the American League East. Joe Morgan and the Red Sox win on opening day for the 2nd consecutive year, behind the brilliant pitching of Roger Clemens and the grand slam from Jack Clark. The final score here at the Sky Dome, the Red Sox 6 and the Blue Jays 2. We'll have more from Toronto in a moment.